Hello, everybody. Hello,
Hello.
hello. Welcome. Welcome back to Slime Volume 15, the infamous Volume 15. Now, this is going to be a little bit different than all the previous light novel volumes. This one pissed me off. The beginning of it pissed me off. And I'll go a little bit more into that in a moment. But first, I have to stop and give you some Fat Dog news. Slime 9
Mm,
has been delayed again. We're hoping to get it out by
mm,
the end of this month, but if it doesn't, it's coming out next month. Uh, we were supposed to record yesterday with Kat for Reamer Lines, but she was sick and lost her voice, and so we weren't able to get that taken care of. It is what it is. Health stuff happens. Understand.
mm.
If take care of yourself, get better, then we'll record. We will reschedule when she's feeling better and is able to record. Perfectly understandable.
Mm.
That having been said, Slime 9 feels like the episode that is cursed. Absolutely feels like it's cursed.
Yeah.
It just do. It just do.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else to say to that. It feels cursed.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly. Oh no, get well. Yes, absolutely that. Now, the next thing up, on the docket, you guys voted. It's already in. I turned in 28 pages of audition stuff because the first page is literally just notes. And I don't have to do this, but because it's solo leveling and because we're like taking it very seriously, I had to put up like a list of notes of things. Please don't do this. Now, here's the funny thing. 90% of the people who audition for us are going to read that and go, wait, people do this? And we're going to be like, yeah. Either it's going to make people chuckle or they're going to read it and they're going to think, WTF. Totally understandable. Totally understandable. And if either of those two things happen to you, welcome to the world of being a director. Because, yeah. Imagine being on the receiving end of that. I'll just put this out there. Imagine for a moment you have a project that you're very, very passionate about and that you're the director for, and you can't wait to get started and get some really talented people out there. You do a casting call and you're listening to some really great auditions, and you open up the next one and you hear what can only be described as something that sounds like it was recorded over a cell phone by somebody with their windows down in a car driving 70 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Are you going to continue listening to that audition and waste your time?
Couldn't be me.
I'm not gonna. So I'm immediately gonna skip that.
Mm.
That's just one of those things that we hear that is like, are you kidding me? Like somebody in an actual, like, not necessarily recording booth, but somebody who like literally went through the time to get a really good mic, close their closet off, acoustic foam, or just kind of soundproof their closet, or make like a little makeshift recording booth or whatever with a decent quality mic, and went out of their way to not only like record in a good environment on a good mic, but like had one heck of a performance. I'm gonna pay more attention to them because of that. So just a little tip out there. Don't record an audition on your cell phone unless you are given permission to do so by the actual person holding the audition. Anyway, that having been said, yes, we're moving forward with solo leveling. The audition process has begun. It is closed to the public. A lot of the rules that we have are things that have happened because of public auditions. I'm not expecting this, but I'm just putting it out there because it's like we have to at this point. These are things. The funny thing is, we wouldn't put these rules up if it wasn't stuff that had happened to us already. Yeah. Alrighty. On to other things. Once again, tomorrow, the new volume for solo leveling, volume 8 of the manhwa, drops tomorrow. So if you're looking forward to reading that, make sure to go pick it up, support the official release, all that good stuff. Yeah. And then volume 14 of Reincarnated as a Sword comes out on Thursday, so make sure to pick that up. That is all we have for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen of the congregation,
Oh no, I got here just in time.
Yeah.
Feels so much better to do this on a chair.
Yeah.
Uh, feels good.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Hmm.
Please open
Mhm.
your holy books of Rimuruism to volume 15.
This time's
Okay.
3.
So now, here we go. Here we go. I have to talk about this. I am now on an even playing field with everybody else on the show right now. I have not read chapter 1 or the prologue for this book. When I found out that they did not get to Rimuru, they did not cover anything with Rimuru until the second chapter, which is literally chapter 2, literally starts on page 102. We've got a ways to go. We pick up with Rimuru immediately where the last book left off. So all of this is stuff that I don't know about because I was so pissed. Even on a reread,
Yeah.
I was so
Yeah.
pissed. I was like, no, fuck that. I'm not reading that. I'm skipping straight to Rimuru. So, yeah, I don't know what's coming.
Cool.
I don't. I really
Then I'll do
don't.
my best to make
So-
it good then.
I mean, it's probably going to be a little sad here, Shem, because
Yeah.
as soon as I start with you, I have to go get food from my kitchen.
Yeah.
So
Aw.
I'm not going to hear the beginning of it either. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I mean, you had the book right there, so you can just go back and
I can,
Or you had the recording though.
I may not. Oh, yeah, that is true.
Yeah, you
I
can
may
just
not,
watch the
but,
recording again.
guys,
Or get wireless headphones.
Well,
I don't
That's
have
different, though.
Bluetooth on my PC, buddy.
yeah.
I don't have. Well, I mean, I know there's some that like have the dongle.
I don't
You
have a
plug it
Bluetooth
in.
adapter on my PC either.
hmm
I'm not referring to Bluetooth. My headset's not Bluetooth.
I guess you could do Twitch
Oh.
on your phone too, but at the same time,
I'm
it's
not
like,
doing that
you have to
either.
keep that.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. All right. That having been
That's my
said,
camera.
Shim, take it away. We begin.
Okay. Prologue. Flame Dragon against Storm Dragon. For Veldora, the day could not have gone much worse. It was an empty field of grass. The city, well prepared for the Imperial invasion, remained isolated in the labyrinth, and that was why the beauty flying in from the sky above stood out so much against this backdrop. Ah, my sister, Veldora muttered, despite himself. There was no strength in his voice. For those who knew how Veldora normally carried on, the sight was unthinkable. Is it possible? Stammered Charis. That this is Lady Velgrind? The sister I have heard rumor of? Indeed. You are correct. She is Velgrind, the Flame Dragon, one of the all-powerful true dragons. And my sister, yes. Everyone in the control center, upon hearing this, leaped into action at once. An emergency alarm rang across the labyrinth, advising all within earshot to exercise maximum vigilance against the enemy on the outside. Whoa, Master? Rimur's not even here! What are we gonna do? Ramirez was in a panic already. She wasn't exactly someone to rely on in normal times. Right now, she could do little more than shout and carry on. In a scientific laboratory, she was a valued resource, but in a battle, there was basically no role for her. But Ramirez was smart enough to have some powerful friends. Trainee sisters administering the labyrinth and the dryads working under them, all beavering away to make sure things kept functioning properly. She had declined a position in the 10 dungeon marvels, but she was still the overall supervisor of the labyrinth. However, a good half of the marvels, those figures who would be relied on the most right now, were in the midst of an evolutionary sleep. Beretta, their former leader, had the important job of guarding Ramirez. It wouldn't appear that she's going to be too friendly with us. Let's intercept her in the labyrinth. Beretta kept an eye on the situation as Trainee and the others checked on the situation labyrinth-wide. Out of the 10 dungeon marvels, only the 4 dragon lords were currently awake and available. Ghidorah was conscious as well, but he had already been sent out with the demon Colossus to help out the armed nation of Dworgen. They were thus less than ideally prepared for Velgrind, but they made full use of the perfect, flawless fortress that was a labyrinth. Even this reduced force should be enough to buy some time with. Beretta thought so at least. So he made the proposal, and Veldora nodded his agreement. I don't know what she's here for, but if she came alone, she truly deserves nothing but my laughter. With all of us together, we have nothing to fear. He grinned assuredly, but his expression was notably strained. He was scared. Just a couple days ago, Veldora had been in hard combat with Velzard, his elder sister, and with that incident fresh on his mind, Now here was Valgrind, his second oldest sister. Not only that, she was staging an invasion of Rimuru, capital of the Jura Tempest Federation, all by herself. This was simply outrageous in Veldora's mind, and now his head was racing, trying desperately to find a way out of the situation. That's why he was so eager to jump at Beretta's proposal. But just then, Veldora, be a good boy and come out for me, alright? Oh, the one this is. Veldora, be a good boy and come out for me, alright? Valgrind, right up there on the display, addressed him out loud. Even her eyes, oddly enough, were fixated on the screen, boring right into Veldora, and her voice echoed directly into his mind. Sir Veldora? Do not flinch at this, Charis. This is a trap. If I go out there without a thought in the world, it's bound to be awful for me. Yes. Veldora had no qualms about sounding this pathetic. Charis couldn't help but find it bewildering. Huh? Well, if her target is my master, then it's got nothing to do with us. Ramirez, trying to save her own hide and doing a commendable job at it, was immediately silenced by Veldora's hand. Now, whether she wanted to be or not, she was part of this. So the Labyrinth's staff decided to hold their ground, but... Oh, you're not coming out. You always were a little slow on the uptake, weren't you? But alright, in that case, I'll give you just one gentle warning. The image alone didn't reveal what Valgrind was saying, but everyone present understood that things were rapidly changing with her. And Veldora, who still had her voice being channeled into his brain, knew full well she was about to do something. But... It's fine. Ramirez's labyrinth is made of incredible stuff that can shut off dimensions. Even I would have difficulty breaking through it. And as long as we remain inside, even my sister won't be able to touch us. He was right. As long as they stayed in the labyrinth, they continue to remain safe from Valgrind. Maybe she could smash her way down 1 or 2 floors, but Ramirez could restore it quicker than she could destroy it. With Veldora powering everything, keeping Valgrind safely away should be doable. Do not panic! With you and I working together, no adversary can... Veldora attempted to calm Ramirez, but he couldn't finish his sentence. On the screen, he had caught sight of Valgrind producing a pure crimson spear. Master! That's real bad news up there! I'm not even sure Mazecraft can block that! Don't need to remind me, Veldora thought. I know that! All hands! Brace for impact! Nobody doubted Veldora's words, each of them assuming a defensive posture. Just a few moments later, a severe shockwave rocked the labyrinth. Oh, no way! The damage confirmed down to floor 50. The upper levels are all but destroyed. Alpha, Beta, and the rest of the staff were producing a flurry of damage reports. At that moment, the myth of the labyrinth's purported safety was practically destroyed. Then, just as Veldora was panicking over what to do next, he received a thought communication from Rimuru. Hey, how's it going? He deeply resented the cheerful voice. You fool! Now is not the time for casual greetings. Things are, rather hectic in here. My sister is pursuing me. She's outside the labyrinth right now, but at this rate, she's going to storm inside. Veldora waited for an answer. Rimuru, yes, surely Rimuru could do something about this. Instead, however, came the concerned reply. You gonna be okay? Instantly, it made Veldora realize the truth. Rimuru was just as strained right now. If he wasn't, he'd be right back here immediately, and since there was no sign of that, it'd be unwise to wait further for him. And maybe that was why Veldora could feel the false hope from him, or from before draining away. If he couldn't rely on Rimuru, he had no choice but to go out himself. I will have to come out for her. That would beat her laying waste to the labyrinth to reach me. Veldora thought he might be able to make it, although this was backed by zero evidence. It was easy to forget at times, but Rimuru had been quite a suitable trainer. If he had been able to withstand that, Veldora thought, surely Valgrind wouldn't defeat him that easily. Alright, I'll take full responsibility for the fallout. So just do something about Valgrind for me, Can you manage that? Rimuru sounded like he didn't expect Veldora to lose either, and if he was taking full responsibility for the fallout, that meant he couldn't complain, no matter how much destruction was wrought from this. Taking that into consideration, Rimuru was all but asking him to show out the fruits of his training up to now. Besides, this was Rimuru asking what he wanted. Yes?
You may want to tilt your camera up a little bit. It's kind of cutting out. Yeah.
Sorry, it's the chair.
It's okay.
There we go.
Not used to it.
It puts
yet.
me up a
That's all
couple.
good.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was busy reading.
Feedback from someone? I'm not sure. If it's
Yeah, that's
I
my
was
phone.
muted the
Sorry,
whole
I'm gonna put it down here.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about
I
that.
didn't know if it was from Richie's mic. Or
It's
had
probably
it
very.
near the mic or something.
Yeah, sorry. I put it there for chat, but I think it was just barely up so people could hear. Anyway, sorry about that if you could hear that.
No, you're
but
fine.
it was
I
right there.
didn't know where that was coming from.
Gotcha. Anyway.
Yeah, I was pretty sure you were hearing it too because I kept seeing your eyes go back and forth. I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I was
Not
like,
just me.
Like
Yeah.
I was like silently muting everybody. Like it's not.
Also,
yeah,
guys.
it's not you. Sorry.
Also, guys.
Exactly, man.
From here on out, I am muting sound alerts.
Okay.
Because like we're trying to read stuff, and I realize it's just getting in the way. So if you redeem sound alerts, they're just not gonna play. They're just not.
But still, thank you all for being here. It's also kind of a serious chapter, so
Yeah, Twitch alerts are still gonna play. So if you for like people who follow or subscribe and all that stuff, it will still play. But sound alerts will not. No.
Yeah.
We get raided in the middle of a really like dramatic moment. It's like we
We
were in
could,
the middle
but-
of something, people. What?
Yeah.
Now we got to
be
reread
funny
for
though.
these people. Ah.
yeah.
No, I'm gonna wait till there's a pause.
Reinforcements.
I'll wait till there's a pause and then say something.
Yeah. But we'll deal with that if that happens.
If it ever happens.
Yeah.
Strat, what did I just fucking
Also,
say?
welcome back. Well.
God damn, dude.
Oh, sorry, I have my thing out here now. Okay, anyway. All right, I'll continue.
All right.
No matter how much destruction was wrought from the... Oh, hold on. Taking that into consideration, Rimuru was all but asking him to show off the fruits of his training up to now. Besides, this was Rimuru asking. What he wanted, he got. Oh. Well, in that case, allow me to handle everything for you. He turned his attention back towards Valgrind. The chat with Rimuru did wonders for his stress level. Suddenly, he felt supremely calm and serene. I will need to go out myself, he said, sounding fully relaxed. Master? Sir Veldora? Ramirez and Beretta stared at him in shock. Veldora gave them a refreshed sneer, like all his problems were behind him. I, too, have little interest in fighting my sister, but if using the labyrinth to stall for time won't work, we have no other option. But it's all right, Charis. Immortality within the labyrinth only works because it exists in an isolated space. Now that we know it won't work against my sister, the best way to minimize further damage is for me to leave. As long as Rimuru was alive and well, Veldora was de facto immortal. If he wanted to prevent any more sacrifice, Veldora's only choice was to leave. Then let me join you. No, stay here. You've become stronger, but is still nothing comparable to me. Perhaps Zegian is another matter, but anyone else would just be a hindrance. He was harsh but true, and Veldora was already prepared for what was to come. There was a gallant air to him now, nothing at all like the pathetic fear of a moment ago. Will you be okay, Master? No, I won't be okay at all. I don't even want to think of the horrid abuse my sisters put me through. But enough of that. I, too, have become stronger. Encountering Rimuru has helped me grow. I, too, am a trainer now, and I've learned just how immature I've been. I'm nothing like how I used to be. Veldora forced out a laugh. He had mentally uplifted himself so much that he was back to his normal tone. So do not worry. Just sit back and watch as I heroically stride into the scene. With that, he left the labyrinth by himself.
Exactly.
Now, yeah,
He's grown.
he is.
He's not 4 years old
I'm proud of
anymore.
him.
He's now 6.
I'm so proud of him. A lot has happened in 2 years. Now,
It really has.
We're watching our little
Yeah.
bro.
It really has. You're not wrong. It really has been about 2 years.
I know, so it's like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Veldora recalled his battle with Velzard. He hadn't seen the older of his two sisters in quite a while, and she seemed far more powerful, her defense much more impermeable than in the past. It wasn't something that old Veldora would have ever picked up on. Running into Rimuru had helped him grow beyond recognition, and nothing symbolized that more than his acquiring an ultimate skill. Being sealed away inside Rimuru's stomach gave Veldora the chance to observe Rimuru and learn a great many things. It was there when he realized that power is only meaningful when used in the right ways. He had an enormous store of magical energy, the largest among all the true dragons. It outclassed those of his two sisters, and it allowed him to be one of the world's strongest presences, without working very hard at it. But that was naive, and Veldora knew it. He knew that some would struggle to win until the very end, no matter how weak they were. Rimuru was one of them, and he knew that many who opposed him were the same way. Hinata, Granville, and the Demon Lord Luminous. He relied on more than just their power, using every possible trick in the book to earn their victory, and he knew never to let his guard down against them. Now that he understood that, Veldora was a different creature from before, and he could prove it. Even during combat with Velzard, he could hold his own and go on the counterattack instead of just getting beaten up as usual. To him, Velzard was a kind of natural enemy, an extremely unfavorable opponent given how incompatible his strength was with hers. She had been born first, the upper limits of her powers all but a mystery to him. He may have had a larger magical store, but they were so close to each other in nearly every other way that it wasn't that much of an advantage. In a proper battle, he couldn't hold out much hope for victory. He had challenged her several times since being born, but was beaten back terribly each time. Velzard's internal world skill was both an ironclad defense for her and a weapon that hampered Veldora's movement. Gales, destruction, corrosion, ruin, all potential effects were nullified before this absolute wall. This was the kind of terrifying sister he was up against, but much to his surprise, Veldora found that he could actually hold his own. Wow, he thought, I'm doing great! Velzard, after all, had learned how to fully control the magical force she released, something Veldora only noticed because he could control his own as well. The difference, however, was just way too big to compare. That was thanks in no small part to the nature of Velzard's powers. Letting her stop kinetic energy was so much ease, but the yawning gap between them was still obvious even without that. But despite having that kind of skill, Velzard was unexpectedly honest in her praise of Veldora's growth. Yes, it's quite a surprise. You used to only act out like a spoiled child, but now you're using your brain to fight as well, aren't you? At this rate, maybe we don't need to destroy you after all. There was a disturbing word or two in there, but the rest of it was unmistakably praise for Veldora. Considering he felt nothing but fear for her before then, it made him very happy to see. He still couldn't beat her, but regardless. So what about Velgrund? Well, Velzard and Velgrund were about an even match in ability. To Veldora, they were both big sisters he had problems dealing with, and if he was honest with himself, he didn't really want to fight either of them, but that wasn't an option right now, so he had no choice but to step up. Velgrund is as formidable as ever. Not even I could unleash an attack reaching across multiple labyrinth floors like that. Perhaps he could just use his brute force to twist the dimensional layers, enough to destroy one or two floors. But even if he had used up all his magicules, not even he could smash through multiple floors with a single blow. The ultimate skill must be the key. I want to hold my own against her. I will need to exercise Faust, Lord of Investigation, to the fullest. He was right. Veldora outclassed Velgrund in magical count, and he hoped that put him in a slightly better position with her than Velzard. That helped overcome the trauma of having this encounter in the first place. The key to victory here lay in how well he used his powers. They had never seriously fought each other, but there was no doubt that Velgrund was the stronger of the two. But that was a tale from the past. Velzard was hard to beat because her skills worked particularly well against Veldora, but that wouldn't be the case with Velgrund. What's more, thanks to Rimuru, he had acquired the ultimate skill Faust, Lord of Investigation. That power worked against Velzard as well, and having it in hand made him think that even Velgrund would be nothing to fear. Now Veldora felt ready to take this mission on. Nobody's doomed me to defeat yet, have they? I needed to test the extent of this power anyway. Why not do it against my own sister? With a new determination, Veldora appeared in front of Velgrund. The siblings stared each other down in midair, both in human form. They were perfectly still in the sky, which was natural for them as true dragons. I'm glad you were intelligent enough to understand the meaning behind my warning. So you've decided to cooperate with me now? Velgrund looked quite happy to see Veldora. She wouldn't be for long. I refuse, my sister. I'm not a tool for you to use as you see fit. And I'd much appreciate it if you'd stop involving me in your sisterly quarrels. Involve? Such a mean word to use. What I'm saying is that if you willingly cooperate with me, I would welcome you as a close friend. Then I could teach you how to use your powers, allowing you to run wild as much as you want. Although I'd ask you to let me choose the times and places for you. My answer remains no, my sister. I've already fully perfected the use of my powers. And further, I no longer enjoy violence for violence's sake. I've grown, you see. I am a grown dragon. I wouldn't be so brazen if I were you. Perhaps we spoiled you a bit too much. But very well. Let me see then, just how much you've grown. With that light back and forth over and done with, Velgrund was ready to duke it out. Veldora wasted no time shoring up his position. From the start, his sister didn't expect to recruit him strictly through verbal negotiation. She'd display her strength, and it would make him obey. And if that didn't work, she'd just rough him up enough that Ludora could take control of him. Her taking the persuasion route was just Velgrund's way of showing a little kindness. So feeling mildly annoyed at this breakdown of negotiations, Velgrund made her first unhesitant thrust at Veldora. She wanted to make this quick, incapacitating him enough that she'd have enough time to wait before Ludora showed up. But a right-handed chop was lightly parried away, rewarded with a kick from Veldora. Velgrund, rapidly growing frustrated, caught it with her left hand. But What? It's force! This doesn't feel weakened at all! Velgrin thought that Veldora had yet to fully recover from 300 years of being sealed away. The Veldora she knew would always throw 100% of his power around, so she assumed his current weaker front was just an after effect of the seal. That back and forth just now made her realize the error of her ways. You've improved a little, haven't you? Now I see that all your bragging is more than just words. My Veldora-style death stance is as invincible as it is undefeatable. And even you, my sister, will realize just how powerless you are before my... What? Valgrind hadn't come here to listen to Veldora smugly explain why he was so strong. Instead, even more annoyed than before. She launched into a more vicious attack. Crimson flames gathered around both her fists, as well as the supple legs stretching out from her dress. Then a flurry of attacks came as a wild dance, searing enough to burn to death anything that touched it. Veldora could withstand it. Oh, what? He sounded like a child that was fleeing at full speed from her, but it did not exact serious damage upon him. I've given you a great deal of discipline over the years, but it appears your head is just as immature as it always was. All that talk about being invincible and undefeatable is nothing short of ridiculous! Velgrin was as furious as a raging inferno, but she still remained calm. That was not calm. Now that she saw that Veldora was not only recovered from his prison, but far stronger than she ever expected. This could be tricky. This could be tricky. I can't exercise my full force in this form, and I can't deal much damage either. Ludora will never be able to dominate him when he shows up. The reason she came here wasn't to rough Veldora up a bit and teach him a lesson, it was to dominate him. Once Ludora emerged victorious in Ski, they planned to give him his freedom back, but right now he could be a very important pawn for them, and they wanted to procure him. From Velgrin's point of view, there was no point in keeping this a penny ante game, and Veldora seemed to agree. My clothes! This precious outfit granted me by Rimuru. Now they're all burned because of you, my sister! The outfit he had on was a gift from Rimuru, a token of his gratitude. It actually was precious to him, and now Velgrin's attack had ruined it. Given enough time, it would have been influenced enough by Veldora's aura to become a literal part of his body, but expecting that much of a transformation in just a few days would be asking too much. Veldora himself was largely unhurt, but this was a severe blow to his heart. It was wholly his fault for showing up to this wearing flammable gear, but still, he felt justified in taking his frustration out on his sister, and that was fortunate for Veldora, actually. Anger, after all, has a way of replacing fear in your mind, and no matter how motivated he was for this, he still had a fear of his sisters ingrained in him over many, many years. The two of them were a symbol of fear in his mind, and the idea of confronting either one with his full might would normally seem outlandish. Now, however, the fetters had been lifted. Sister or not, I will offer you no more mercy. Prepare to face my wrath! With that shout, Veldora released his powers. In his place, a mighty, majestic dragon, jet black in color, revealed himself. Velgrin snickered at the sight. It was too convenient for her. All that nonsense. You truly are too unintelligent for your own good. It seems you've forgotten some very important facts. You cannot defeat me, and I suppose it's time to teach you that once more. Velgrin transformed as well, into her beautiful, limber crimson dragon form, and so the epoch-making kaiju battle began.
This is where Veldora messed up. This is where Veldora messed up, because he should have just used a Hadouken or a Kamehameha. He forgot he needed to be fighting with the power of God and anime on his side.
Yeah. It's not enough. You need more than that, man.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right, hang on, I'll be right back.
Chapter 1, The Moment of Despair. Just as Rimuru was about to head into the Imperial capital, the Dwarven King Gazel Dwargo was facing a desperate battlefield. There, far in the distance, was a living incarnation of beauty, spreading death everywhere she went. Gravity collapse. They say you could theoretically make it as powerful as you want, but can Legion magic defend against it? Don't be silly. You could have both the magic support and magic strike divisions running defense for us, and there's no way they could block that. That's how true dragons work. It's beyond a menace. Gazel was answered by Vaughn, his supreme military commander on the field. He had deployed the Dwarven army here as he waited Gazel's arrival, but that meant he had a front row seat for the destruction of the Empire's composite division, positioned a stone's throw away. The soldiers were speechless at the sight of all the carnage, their will to fight doubtlessly broken, but not even they ran from the scene, much to their credit. Everyone on hand understood that by this point there was nowhere safe to run away to, that their deaths would allow their families to survive even a little while longer. That alone made it worth remaining here. And so, with that in mind, they maintained their battle lines. King Gazel was far too heroic a figure to let any of his troops' lives go to waste. Every soldier of his trusted in that, and that was why they swore their allegiance to him. And while he understood well the emotions that drove him, Gazel was distressed, never showing it on his face, but finding his heart in a state of deep turmoil. We cannot win. In fact, this may very well end with the lives of everyone here wasted. Should we surrender? No, the Empire will never accept it. We must show them our power, at least, or as much as we have left of it. He'd have to make the enemy believe they were more valuable as an ally rather than an enemy. Otherwise, the Empire would never let them continue to exist in their worldview. Thus, the only way to survive was to fight to the bitter end. No matter how many casualties it produced, King Gazel and his troops had to continue believing that the sacrifice wouldn't be in vain. Hold on. They say quality is better than quantity in war, but it is simply beyond any reasonable expectation. Our only option is to challenge and defeat her by ourselves. Whoa. Don't you have a responsibility for them as king? Look, our enemy numbers exactly one person in size, does it not? Is now the time to ask about who's responsible for what? Gazel gave Vaughn's question in a bitter smile. The sole enemy here was Valgrind. Strategy and tactics were meaningless. Gazel's side needed a way to survive, and that was it. Vaughn, likely well aware of this, tried to keep the mood light, hoping to lighten Gazel's heartache a bit, realizing that helped Gazel dispel his hesitation on the matter. My liege, Henrietta reported to them, the enemy is more than just the flame dragon. There are multiple presences detected behind her, and it seems they are performing some manner of ritual. Lady Jane reported that this extreme magic spell from before is likely part of this. Gazel nodded. That extreme magic, which annihilated an army of some 60,000, was being used for a ritual. That alone told him that an evil plot was afoot. One he dared not even try to imagine, but Valgrind, at the center of it all, was going to be very difficult to beat. And so the only way to foil this plot would be to beat whatever was behind her. Should we move our forces? Dolph asked. Gazel shook his head. The heavy strike division lacked much mobility by design, and properly shuttling them around would leave them exposed to magic attack. Normally they could use their stout defenses to push through anything, but none of that mattered much against Valgrind. The only option left was a de facto suicide strike from the 500-strong Pegasus Knights at their disposal. I wouldn't like having this place even less well defended than before. I think Gazel's right. The only way is to go in alone by ourselves. Right, Dolph? Vaughn smiled as he spoke. Dolph scratched his head in response. How disrespectful, Vaughn. Calling the king by merely his given name is outrageous. You should think more about your position. The lecture went on for a while longer. He finally ended it with a broad smile. But this time at least you have a point. If we want to buy as much time as possible, we must avoid spreading our forces too thin. If it's us alone, we can be highly mobile and speedy enough to perhaps surprise the enemy. Henrietta had no objections either. Lady Jane said she would join the struggle once she persuaded the elders along those lines. I'll let them worry about the future. For now, let's have a fun little rampage, just like the old days. The enthusiasm was palpable in her reply. These were all old friends, but the years hadn't changed them one bit. They were united in their hearts with the Gazel, standing by him to help him through even his most difficult of times. Gazel laughed. Ha ha, you fools. I wonder what my chaperone Jane would say if she heard this. Jane had accompanied Gazel and his band for many years, offering them her advice and suggestions. She may have been the Dwarven Kingdom's most powerful mage, but to Gazel, she was also his most trusted of advisors. I'm sure she won't like this. I'm sure she won't like this, he thought as he struggled to make a decision, but it seemed he was a tad too slow. Lordy Lord, I take my eyes off you for a moment, King Gazel, and I see this. What a pain this is. Just before Gazel gave the order to march, Jane teleported onto the scene. Jane, are you listening in on us? She sneered at the uncomfortable-looking Gazel and shook her head. Here I was, breathing a sigh of relief now that you've become such a great king. Or so I thought. But this time I cannot blame you. There's simply no other way to deal with an opponent like this. The true dragons are known as catastrophe-level threats precisely because they lie beyond the control of any one government. True enough. Any magic spell a human being could conjure would never affect a true dragon, and now Valgrind was harnessing magic on a massive scale, well beyond any level or human level of control. Even if every human champion in the world came together, their chances against a true dragon would be a complete unknown. But all was not necessarily lost. That was what Jane was here to report. I received a call a few moments ago. His Majesty Rimuru is going to send reinforcements. Why don't we wait for them and see what we can do? I don't believe it's been that long since I contacted him. It's hard for me to comprehend as well, yes, but I am sure he's not lying. Vesta himself told me so, and His Majesty can make all of his subjects take action with just a few words. Everyone nodded at the words of the jaded Jane. They knew she was correct, and besides, those ever-reliable reinforcements arrived before they had time to change their minds. Suddenly, a large distortion appeared in space. Then, as if encased in an enormous cocoon, a small group of elite forces revealed itself. There were 100 members of Gabiru's Team Hiryu, along with 300 more from Goboa's Team Kurenai. Every member of this team of 400, was over A in rank, making it a squad as potentially powerful as the Pegasus Knights. What attracted even more attention, however, was their enormous weaponry. I heard it was complete, but they're actually not holding anything, I heard it was complete, but they're certainly not holding back deploying it, are they? That's Rimuru for you. Is that the completed magic armor soldier? Indeed, it is the Demon Colossus, I was told, and it's a good thing it's on our side. Gazel, of course, didn't expect it to emerge victorious against Velgrund, but the sheer majesty of its presence would be enough to bring reassurance to his soldiers. A stout ally to have. If we had a larger supply of them, maybe, we could have fought a little bit better. Sadly, not even that would likely mean much against Velgrund. If it were a disaster-level threat, then perhaps, but... Gazel and his advisors continued to chit-chat for a bit longer as the group approached them. This was Gabiru, leader of the newly deployed corps, along with the 3 demonesses led by Testarossa. Goboa and Hakuro followed behind them. It has been far too long, Your Majesty. It was Testarossa, not Gabiru, who spoke up first. This was most assuredly the right call. Testarossa had diplomatic privileges and a wealth of experience. She was used to this kind of situation. Indeed it has, Lady Testarossa. My thanks for the reinforcements. Usually the very idea of Gabiru directly addressing a visitor would violate royal norms. There were certain customs and formalities to take into consideration, and along those lines the king would normally have an intermediary speak on his behalf, but now was no such time for such talk. Something mutually understood among all the parties, so they did away with all decorum and made this a regular, uninhibited strategy meeting. Once everybody had moved over to the command center, they dove straight into the topic at hand. Testarossa began recapping what Rimuru and his allies were up to, then offered a proposal for the strategy they needed to implement here. Rimuru seeks to strike the Emperor himself? It certainly seems more realistic than any suicide mission. Do you think? Because it sounds rather reckless to me. Gazel growled at the idea as he thought it over, even as Vaughn sounded optimistic. Dolph, meanwhile, was still looking for another way, but there was no time left to ponder. With nobody else offering alternatives, Testarossa pushed ahead. We will deal with Lady Velgrund. What I want everyone else to do is to put an end to the ritual taking place behind her. No objections here. Gazel promptly agreed with the offer, as welcome as it was unexpected. The demons were the only ones who could be entrusted with this most dangerous of rules. They had no one else to volunteer for it. But Jane wasn't so sure. One moment. I ask you, Lady Testarossa, would primals such as yourself be able to defeat the flame dragon? This was a vital question, one that would affect the entire rest of the operation. Jane, for one, was clearly doubtful if Testarossa's group could win. That was how overwhelming Velgrund seemed to her. The 3 primal demons here were undoubtedly the greatest strength among the allied forces right now, but that made this question all the more important. If Testarossa and the demons fell, that would be the end for everyone else on hand as well. To be honest, I don't think we can, no. Well, in that case, we must dedicate ourselves to defense, not attack. Instead of needlessly provoking them, would it not be better to wait here for His Majesty Rimuru's strategy to succeed? If there's no chance of victory, stall for time. That was Jane's argument, and while it seemed sound enough, it was hard for the Rimuru camp to accept. Unfortunately, that is not an option. If we leave Lady Velgrund on her own, she might return to the Imperial capital to interfere with our leader. Carrera sounded adamant about it. Rimuru told her she was fine not to worry about him, but nonetheless, she felt it necessary to keep the Flame Dragon's attention focused squarely on them. And more to the point, we did not come here to discuss plans with everyone. Sir Rimuru has given us this edict, and we have come to relay it to you. We will consult with you over ways we can help, but I want it clear that we will not tolerate anyone in our way. Even Hakuro, rarely one to speak out of turn, was harsh. Time was too short for courtesy. Oh, okay. They had to unify under a single flag at once. Gazel correctly realized this, raising a hand to quiet his fretful colleagues. If my master Sir Hakuro says so, I have no other choice but to relent. Or do any of you have any other ideas? His advisors all gravely shook their heads. If the Imperial Information Bureau is involved, ending the ritual won't come that easily. It will be best for all of us to unite under one common purpose. Dolph's statement was the final decider. All that remained was to work out the details, and with that, the plan was quickly finalized. Provoking Velgrin was no different from sticking her hand in a hornet's nest. Testarossa and her team, although fully aware of this, still dauntlessly pressed on. You think us stepping in would delay the ritual? Asked Ultima. I suppose we'll have to wait and see, replied Testarossa. Not even I could maintain a gravity collapse of that level, said Carrera, doing that while taking on us three? No way that's possible, right? I think it's entirely possible. That's why I'm wary of her. Are you kidding? Oh, I'm quite serious. Whatever. We'll find out soon enough in battle. There was no hesitation among Testarossa and the other demons as they spoke. They made a beeline straight for Velgrim, not even trying to hide their motives, and Velgrim quickly noticed the three of them. She, too, expressed no alarm. In fact, she seemed delighted to see the demonesses coming her way. Hello there. Lovely day for our fight, isn't it? Testarossa greeted her. Velgrim smiled back. It certainly is. But first, let me go ahead and ask, why don't you join our camp? As primals, you certainly possess the strength for it. I promise you'll all be treated well. Velgrim maintained her casual composure in the face of the three demonesses as she made the offer. Needless to say, the answer was no. I will have to decline your offer. I have my own history with the Empire, you see. Same here, agreed Ultima. I finally have a master to serve now, and it's loads more comfortable than I imagined. No way I'm going to give that up. Exactly. But more importantly, let's put an end to this talk and start fighting, said Carrera. If 3 against 1 isn't your speed, you could always call in those folks behind you. Her refusal was unanimous. No time spent deliberating. Carrera was clearly eager for a fight, not demonstrating the slightest interest in negotiations. Seeing Velgrin's magic up close had ignited her own fighting instincts. Velgrin laughed. So that's your answer. Well, good. In that case, I'll gladly play with you for a little while. That was the signal for a battle to begin. With a slow swaying motion, Velgrin split in front of the demoness's eyes, or to be more precise, there were now 2 Velgrins, exact mirror images of each other. This was a familiar sight to Testarossa, a troubling sign. This is more than just a replication. Perhaps it's a bit closer to Rain's ubiquitous mist. Testarossa recalled her own fight with Rain. Exactly why they fell into combat was now lost to time, but the experience from that battle was still fresh in her mind. Ubiquitous mist allowed the caster to create a replication before battle, then regenerate either the original or the replication at will. Unlike the separate body skill, only one of the 2 bodies could retain its own free will, but it could still prove to be one truly heinous ability in the right hands. There's no better way to catch an enemy off guard. While it wasn't as effective against cautious opponents, it offered the user a great deal of insurance. Velgrin's parallel existence skill could create those separate bodies at will, which undeniably made it stronger than Ubiquitous Mist, but Testarossa wasn't aware of that, a shade of doubt now present upon her beautiful face. What's that? Rain, you see, can split her body and regenerate herself from part of either one. Got it. So both of them can function as the real her then? That would be the case, yes. Testarossa and her friends analyzed the situation, not falling into panic at all. The battle was technically underway, but they were still debating like this was a parlor chit-chat over tea. Excuse me. I see Blanc is quite the intelligent one, Velgrin coyly remarked. You are correct. This is parallel existence, one of my powers, and since I don't want you interfering with the ritual, I will be happy to deal with you here. She gracefully fluttered a feathered fan as she spoke. Testarossa was less than amused as she sneered at her. I have a name. It is Testarossa, and it was granted to me by my Lord Rimuru. I do wish you would stop calling me Blanc. She casually cracked the flaming whip that she had produced from her hand at some point. It undulated like a snake as it struck at Velgrin. Ah, right. So that slime truly did name you primals. This was Velgrin's first confirmation of the fact, and it visibly surprised her, but her emotions remained undisturbed as she nimbly dodged Testarossa's whip. Calling my lord a mere slime is extremely rude, Carrera indignantly explained as she unleashed her own magic. Gravity collapse.
I love that they get offended now if somebody calls Rimuru a slime. Just calls him
there's
like his
how
race
dare you?
instead of like they get pissed off on Rimuru's behalf
because it's like
that.
kind of a slur to them.
Yeah. It's kind of
like they would at one point call that to other people that they thought would be beneath them, I assume. And I was like, we interpret that as that, but he might be actual.
It's like you dare refer to my beloved as such. Like it's kind of like
that. It's our word.
You shall perish.
You don't get to. That is our word. Everyone else who is part of
it's not the N-word, bro. It's calm down. It's not the N-word.
It's not. Don't worry. They have the pass. It's no worries. Don't worry.
Yeah,
No, they
It's okay.
She does it. Yeah,
No, they
Lady
don't.
does it. The dragon lady
They have
does
been
it.
requested to drink water and check postures.
Yes,
All right.
thank you.
All right, I'll check the posture. Hang on.
Okay.
I still,
Carrera-
I checked it.
I'm sorry.
I checked it. I still
Huh.
have a spine, and my.
Yes.
I checked my posture. It's terrible.
Absolutely garbage.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
even imagine how I could sit
Mine's
upright
not
like
bad,
that.
but I
It's a
still need to do
miracle.
better. All right.
I checked everyone's posture. It's bad. Yeah.
Yeah. It's bad.
I tried to fix my spine. I swear to God.
Need one
It's
of those,
pretty
like, special
chill. I
chairs.
checked our posture. It was pretty chill. You know?
Yeah,
Good.
just
Good
you know,
times.
it's just
All right.
Yeah,
slime.
good.
Continuing on.
Okay. Gravity collapse, her closing move at the very, Carrera indignantly explained as she unleashed her own magic. Gravity collapse, her closing move at the very start. She kept the size as small as possible, but that only further expanded its power. It was the greatest attack Carrera could summon right now, and it struck Velgrind head on while her attention was still on Testarossa. A pillar of black enveloped Velgrind, connected from heaven to earth, a prison big enough for just one, offering no escape to its quarry. But with a wry grin, Velgrind remained supremely unconcerned within her hypergravity cell. You truly do reign supreme among demons. I couldn't ask for much more magic force. But if you insist on following the laws of this world, you will never outclass a true dragon. As if to prove her point, Velgrind shattered the jet black column from the inside. Then she raised her own magical force to jam Carrera's magic, rendering her powerless. Or, Sir Veldora's sister is something of a jokester herself, I see. If magic doesn't work, I suppose I can't do much, huh? Well, there are the sword stills Agera taught me, aren't there? Might not do much, but let's give it a try. Even though the greatest trick in her book was effortlessly broken through, Carrera still seemed to be enjoying herself. There was no sign of her losing heart as she held up her magic-generated blade. It had a fierce, violent presence, one slightly unbecoming of a demon, and Carrera's own demonic aura flowed into it, making it glow in her hand. That's probably the right answer. If it's a technique you yourself have crafted, not a simple magic skill or spell, then it may even strike a true dragon, the core of the world. Sir Veldora told me that a woman named Hinata proved it to him once. Testarossa didn't need to test it out. She presumed magic wouldn't work on Velgrind. That was why she used a magically generated flame whip from the very beginning. It was white in color, imbued with a freezing flame of ivory, an accursed contradiction in attributes that Testarossa herself invented. Humans are real fascinating, huh? In that case, maybe I ought to break these out too. Ultima materialized two knives, one in each hand. The blades were a loathsome dark purple, letting out an eerie mystical aura. Wasting no time either, are you, Alt? You hurt Zegian with those earlier, didn't you? Carrera asked. Pretty much. Honestly, I didn't see much point moving my own body to defeat him, but... Surprising, though, noted Testarossa. I didn't think our combat experience with Sir Zegian would come in handy like this. Magic was the main strength of this trio. They never put much emphasis on close combat, but in the battle against Zegian, no other method of attack seemed to work. Thanks to his wall-like defenses and absolute superiority over all types of magic. Almost no spell worked on Zegian, and as a result, they had to seek out other means. This was their answer. Only by putting their own spiritual life forms on the line and harnessing their own tenacious wills for their attacks did they succeed in inflicting damage on Zegian. For a spiritual life form, the power of will outclasses anything else. A skill is simply another form of the user's will, created from their own desire, and an ultimate skill is the final destination that desire may reach. The demonesses wanted to see how close they could reach with their own skills, and as they concluded, there was no other option but to try it out. So, through embodying their wills, they had each come up with weapons suited uniquely for them. Zegian's own defenses worked just as well as on Ultimate skills, but still, Ultima's knives managed to inflict a wound on his body. This was important, for it meant that the three demonesses' attacks were ultimate in nature. I tried to imitate Ult's weapon, you know. My swordsmanship is really just for fun, but Agera's taught me full mastery anyway. Let's go, shall we? Carrera sprinted forward, slashing at Velgrind with all her might without even considering defense. Velgrind parried the slashes with her feathered fan, a high-grade work of art that could hardly be called a weapon. With its durability irrevocably altered by her magical energy, however, it was now harder than diamond. Thin, light, flowing, and tough, it was Velgrind's favorite weapon, easily comparable with Carrera's sword. What a surprise! I didn't expect the primal demons to so readily abandon magic like that. Is it that surprising? Our pride is a small price to pay for a victory we can offer to our lord. Velgrind, already on the defensive against Carrera's onslaught, was struck by Testarosa's whip. Like a horde of white serpents, the whip constantly changed its shape and direction as it hunted down its prey. Velgrind clicked her tongue in frustration. The whip had torn the hem of her dress, offering a glimpse of her beautiful legs, and on one of them, a bright red welt clear for all to see. It proved that Testarosa's attack worked. Not bad, Testa, said Carrera. I'll stay on the vanguard, so keep up the good work for me. You're celebrating a fluke of a hit that much. Even after this light injury, Velgrind still felt in control. That's why, facing up against Testarosa and her friends, she made a terrible mistake. She let her guard down. It's not a fluke! Ultima's triumphant cry rang out just as Velgrind felt an intense pain in her side. What? A moment of confusion, then as if aiming for that moment, Testarosa's whip and Carrera's sword struck over and over, taking turns. Velgrind fell to her knees, not immediately aware of what happened to her. Not that she couldn't comprehend it, she just didn't want to. Spectacular work, Ultima. We'll need to have Sir Rimuru praise us for it later. Very impressive, yeah, agreed Carrera. But we can't let our guard down. Now it's time to wrap it up. Right. Or, right. The other separate body is still around. Let's defeat that too, and then let's interrupt that ritual. Velgrind, hearing these voices far in the distance, stood up. Oh. After all that, did it still not do much damage? Your poison curses take time for even us to reverse, Alt. The true dragons are extremely powerful. But she doesn't feel so unbeatable now, huh? The damage has to be building up. If we keep going, before Ultima could finish, Velgrind went on the move. With speed that not even the demoness's super senses could catch up with, she grabbed Ultima by the neck and slammed her to the ground. Ultima groaned as Velgrind unleashed a stomping kick on her, then leaped away, just before Carrera's sword slash whizzed through her position. Velgrind, safely out of Carrera's range, pulled out a knife stuck to her side and cast it aside. Her clothes were still torn, but there were no wounds left on her pale skin. Any damage caused by this barrage was no big deal to her. She really is a monster, Carrera muttered. Not exactly, Velgrind lightly replied, a bit self-mocking in tone. In fact, I'm not nearly good enough yet. I haven't felt the sensation of being taken off guard for years and years. Then again, perhaps I've been doing that on a regular basis, but never realized it because I never paid a price. I suppose it's a problem only the best of the best must face. But I'm sure you understand what I mean, don't you? Velgrind smiled, but her eyes cast a sharp gaze at them, making sure no twitch or slight movement went undetected. The demonesses couldn't hope for her to be so careless a second time, and with that, all hope for their victory seemed lost. I always thought primal demons were nasty things, but not in terms of being a threat. They're just a pain to deal with. But now I see things differently. With your new names and physical bodies, you have surpassed my wildest dreams in strength. That much I must acknowledge. Velgrind had no intention of dismissing the primal demons as unworthy. Their strength in battle didn't outclass hers, but working in groups paid off for them. An ability that would no doubt work against Velzard, her sister. In fact, Velgrind was taken by surprise just now. If that happened in battle against her sister, it would have marked a decisive defeat for her. That much was proven by how that last attack from Testarosa's team had just ruined her separate body. It would recover over time, but as Carrera said, disabling Ultima's poison curse on the body would be a painstaking task even for Velgrind. So she disabled the damaged separate body and conjured up a new one, and then all the damage was undone. That was the real trick behind parallel existence. No matter what kind of unfamiliar technique you used to kill off a body, it ultimately meant nothing before Velgrind's authority. But not even this authority is limitless. There were still restrictions, more or less. The biggest of which being that each separate body occupied 10% of the user's maximum magical count as a sort of collateral. This was not consumed, but functioned as a kind of maintenance fee, and as the term collateral suggests, it came back to the user once the body was extinguished. However, only so many bodies could be created. That was an incontrovertible fact. Velgrind could create a maximum of 10, but of course this would take up 100% of her magical count, reducing her ability to fight. Magicals could be shared between bodies, and Velgrind figured out it would be most efficient to leave at least half of her magicals free at any given time. That's why she kept it to 3 or 4 at the most. That, and there was another limitation, related to how much damage each body could receive. If a body was deactivated without any damage, the user would regain 10% of their magicals. If it was damaged, however, the amount returned would be proportionally less, depending on the extent of the damage. Rimuru had anticipated as much in his strategy, and in a sense he was right. With the damage taken, Velgrind had lost 5% of her magicals. By comparison, Gravity Collapse, the nuclear-level strike that required Carrera's full force to unleash, wouldn't even absorb 1% of Velgrind's magical count. That was how much the true dragons had to work with. Jesus. So while Velgrin appeared invincible at first glance, she was far from immortal. She could ignore pretty much any physical damage, or pretty much all physical damage, but if you slowly, steadily drained her energy, it'd be possible to defeat her sooner or later. The probability was still incredibly small, but it was one Velgrin remained aware of, and considering these were 3 of the strongest fighters in the world, she really did think they had a chance against her. Calling them no threat to her was just a bluff, a bit of psychological warfare. Now Velgrin was sure of it. If everything went well, these 3 demonesses could serve as a deciding factor in her next battle against Velzard. If they could join the fight against her sister, victory was all but assured. That was why she decided to solicit them one more time. You understand now, don't you? No matter how much you struggle, you could never defeat me. Don't you think further battle is pointless? All you have to do is help me a little, and I guarantee your freedom after that. So do you mind surrendering for now? Please? This was the largest concession that Velgrin's pride would allow her to offer, but it was met with instant rejection. You want us to betray Sir Rimuru? My, what a funny joke. You're definitely not taking us seriously. Demons never break their contracts. You know that, right? Just because it's not good looking for us doesn't mean we'll change sides at the drop of a hat. Absolutely. And sure, maybe you could try bargaining with some demons. If you look hard enough, I bet you could find some driven by their own self-interest enough to say yes. But you should realize that I would never betray my lord. Testarossa, Ultima, and Carrera each expressed their feelings in their own words, and then in their own actions, as they unleashed an unhinged barrage against or upon Velgrin. Each one was maximum force, instantly destroying her separate body. Once again, Velgrin was drained of 9% of her magicals. The negotiations were off. Ah, what a shame. A real shame. Velgrin generating a new body, flashed a lurid smile as she spoke, and then the rampage began.
What good girls. What good girls.
So we're up to 9% with one, and then whatever's going on with between Veldora and the other sister.
All right, so here's the thing. Here's the thing, guys.
Yes.
All right. What did you guys think of this?
Humans.
I am curious to hear your thoughts. Humans. Drink. You can't make me do what you say. I've already.
I was called here by humans.
Dude,
I called that out much earlier.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say, but Velgrin, Melassie, just wait until the one you insulted by calling him a mere slime makes his appearance. Well, that'll happen.
Oh, that's gonna be good.
Eventually.
That'll be interesting. Mm-hmm. She's kind of cocky.
You said
if I know anything about anime,
the book, right? That's when we'll finally catch back
up. No.
Chapter
2 is literally when he shows up.
Yes.
Like
we're almost there.
We don't even pick up with where we left off until chapter 2. That's what pisses. That's what pisses me off.
Shinderu.
This is all just the second half of chapter 14 right now.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're getting everything that was happening in the middle of the last chapter. Well, all that stuff was going on.
Book.
Yeah. The last chapter that we read in the previous book, we're getting all of the stuff that was happening in the middle of that. So basically,
just titled the stream that, like, meanwhile, the other half.
No, actually, I titled the stream, and that's when Tempest found out. Yeah.
They finally got something to...
Yeah. No, that is like, and that's when Tempest knew. They fucked up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the title of today's stream. Cocky like a cucaracha. Okay. But tell me what you guys think of this so far, because we got the demonesses, the trio, the terrifying trio.
I mean, I feel sad because I know ultimately what happens, but at the same time, it's like, good on you, girls. You go, girls. Great.
We only saw like
way
a
to
little
go.
bit.
Even though you know what you're up against, you're like, nah. Fuck you. We're sticking with Rimuru.
We're real ones.
Yeah, we're the real ones. We're sticking with Rimuru. Fuck you.
Yeah. This definitely reminds me of Raditz versus Goku and Piccolo energy. Except on a...
I can see where you're coming from.
Three of them.
I can see where you're coming from with that. I can definitely see where you're coming from with that. Yeah. The first actual challenge they have encountered so far. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. They've had to fight against their. One of them has had to fight against one of their sister demons. They fought Diablo. They fought Veldora. They fought against Zegian, and Zegian has kicked their ass
against Zegian. Yeah,
and they wounded him, which is holy shit.
Yeah, but Zegian still beat them up and down. The whole thing
I know, but it's still like,
their whole thing is like, it's not a loss. We didn't admit defeat. And I'm like, sure. That
actually makes a good question. Where is Zegian in all this?
Volume 16, you'll find out. Volume 16, you'll find out. There's some shit.
This whole thing just reminds me of a line from El Dorado. Haha, you fight like my sister. I fought your sister. That was a compliment.
Joke's on you. Yeah. That's what I learned how to fight from your sister.
Here's the thing. While all of this craziness is going down in Volume 15, there is also some shit that is going down in the labyrinth that we're not aware of that we'll find out about in Volume 16.
Oh, shit.
So that is what you will find out what Zegian has been doing.
All right.
Also, some people are still in a hibernation slumber, remember, from being named?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
We still have Geld and a bunch of others.
All of Shion's fanboys.
Shion's fan group. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Any other thoughts before we move on to the next thing? Because I know we got a dot here.
The Paul Persons, like the duplicate thing, that just reminds me of Naruto when he fought Pain.
Good job, by the way. Good job, by the way. You got us a third of the way through this chapter. We're 33 pages in out of the 37 we need to go through. So yeah, or
congratulations,
97,
Shim. You've drained this chapter of 9% of its magicules.
I mean, if we wanted to make it just a Shim day and let him have plenty of water, he'd probably kill off a chapter in a day. No problem.
I could try. I could damn well try. I just need like 2 of these.
But the thing is, I want to give you guys the chance to read. So
So
I mean, we're gonna get to this eventually.
Why?
There's no reason to rush it.
Why?
To be fair, this is also the chapter I'm least looking forward to reading. So it's 100%. I'm like, fuck this chapter. You guys read it. I don't want to read this chapter. I am 100%. I am 100%. I don't want to read this chapter. And if anybody feels the same way, I 100% get you. If you want to if you want to pass on reading this chapter and save it for next chapter, totally get that. So if you want to let other people who are generally quicker at reading just go for longer so that we can get through this chapter as quickly as possible.
We go through as fast as possible. Out of the way.
I understand. Because
just offload all the garbage onto Shem is basically what you're saying.
I mean,
yep.
Here's my thing.
I'm putting words in your mouth, but you're not denying it. So,
guys, here's my thing. This is how chapter 2 begins, right? By the way, chapter 2 is called Power Unbound.
I'm angry.
Missed opportunity there.
All right. This is called. This may have been the first time my anger had blown my sense of reason completely out of my mind. This is literally the first time. From Rimru's perspective. This is literally
the first time.
No, because Rimru still had sense of reason left.
Yeah.
When Aaron and the group showed up to actually be like, cling on to this last ray of hope.
Oh, you know what? That is true.
Yeah.
That's like,
he did not
he was
fully.
Close.
He was. He was angry. He didn't give in to rage. But like, he still had reason because, like, he sat there and listened to the king of. By the way, Falmouth. I learned that's actually a city in, or at least it used to be a city in the U.S. back when it was the 13 colonies.
Oh,
yeah.
Today I learned.
Back in the colonial days.
I don't know if it's still one,
IRL.
but it is historical lore for the U.S. Yeah, we have lore, but
do we have a light novel?
Funny enough, if you check, we probably do.
We have oversimplified.
If you check,
it's called a U.S. history book.
Do we have? No, that's a heavy novel. That's a heavy novel.
Yeah.
If you want a light novel, I suggest the YouTube channel Oversimplified. There we go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, funny enough, where I learned about...
They just came out with a new episode for the Punic War, the second Punic War.
Where I found out about Foulmouth was from the Revolutionary War Oversimplified Part 1 or 2. I can't remember which one it was. But anyway.
I think my side tangent on that real quick. My favorite one is the Pig War, mainly because
that was a good one.
Dictated whether or not I am Canadian or not, basically.
Oh.
Literally, yeah.
Well, all right.
I'm not in those islands, but I'm.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. We take a vote. All right. Who wants to read tonight? Who wants to actually read tonight?
I already have, but I can continue. But that's up for vote.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to read this chapter?
I don't mind reading it. I mean, it's
okay.
filler ultimately.
Who is indifferent to this chapter?
I'm a little different, but
you're indifferent to this chapter, you say?
I feel like we still probably need to do it though.
Yeah. No. We're not skipping the chapter.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
like,
not what's happening.
I know. Okay, I was gonna say.
If you could give us the cliff notes at worst case.
I'm taking a pulse.
Already heard about everything that happened in the last chapter of the last book, so it's like
it's pain.
We're just getting people's perspectives on this.
Yeah, we're switching. Yeah. We're switching perspective when we know where this is going.
Yeah, it's
honestly,
like we got to do a little bit of recap.
We know how this chapter is going to end. We know how this chapter is going to end. This is literally a cock tease chapter.
So you're saying this whole stream is a giant.
This is the whole time. This whole thing.
That's a good sound effect.
No. This whole thing is edging the chapter. Literally, we were right there, and they're like, "No, now you have to edge." And we're like, "No, self-hatred and guilt." All right.
Oh boy. Okay.
So now we're gonna continue. I'm sorry, Shem. You have to. Continue.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'll keep going.
Through this enough in your eyes, so.
Yeah. Oh, that's okay. I'll go through it as best I can.
I'm just curious if we can make it to 66 pages, because if we could do that,
I will try.
If we could do that,
we'll try. 66, Shem, hurry up.
Yeah. So Gazel and his team.
Curious,
sorry,
that's all.
We'll see. We'll see. Again, my
damnedest. We do still have another picture, so we've got at least one page that we can skip here.
Right. So Gazel and his team decided to attack the area where Kagali was conducting the ritual, bypassing the gravity collapse-driven pillar of crimson that was raining blood from the sky above. Getting too close to it would catch them in the gravitational waves, Pegasus Knight or not. And as their leader, it was Dolph's duty to keep watch and lead the way. This Velgrind-engineered gravity collapse, after all, was completely impervious to anything happening around it. Testarossa and the other demons seemed to be locked in combat with Velgrind on the ground, but the Crimson Pillar remained as present as ever. The fact sent a chill down Gazel's spine, but it didn't show as he shouted. "I can hardly believe it, but that is Velgrind. You must think that her producing a separate body on the same level as our main one is the stuff of nightmares, don't you? But fear not. Know that we, too, have powerful reinforcements that defy all common sense." His voice reached his knights, bold and majestic, as it removed any sense of fear from their hearts. Even Gazel, to tell the truth, was terrified. A saint-level knight would be capable of little against such an overwhelming presence. Any attempt at resistance would fizzle out against such a huge difference in power. But Gazel did not give up. His sense of responsibility as king galvanized his heart, but most of all, these unexpected reinforcements from his former fellow trainees showed that it was still far too early to despair. In terms of magical count alone, the three demonesses lost out to Gazel, but here they were, boldly challenging an opponent whose power must be nearly 100 times greater than theirs. Faced with their exploits, a king like myself can hardly afford to whine about my lot. Such was the vow he made to himself, and that resolve was now spreading to his advisors. And the knights knights under his command, or their command, excuse me. By the time they reached their destination, fear no longer registered with any of them. Their destination awaited beyond the Crimson Pillar, a wide open meadow accessible enough for a large army to occupy. The ground was stained with blood, the final end of the composite division, no doubt, after all their double dealing. In this vast area stood around 100 people. One of them stood out, thanks to the different uniform he was wearing. It was Lieutenant Kondo, his presence overwhelming as he shot a look towards Gazel. With him was Footman, Tyr, and 36 or so of Yuki's former companions. They were joined by nearly 50 Imperial Guardians. They were spread out in formation to protect Kagali, ensuring she wasn't disturbed during the ritual. Over towards Kondo was another uniformed group, members of the Imperial Information Bureau, although several of them were Guardians as well. Essentially, these were the best forces the Empire had to offer right now, all in one place. Kagali was located on the outer edge of the Crimson Pillar, immersed in the ritual even as she was doused in the downpour of blood. Velgrind was standing nearby, watching over her. After creating that separate body on the other side of the pillar, she had returned here so the 3 demonesses wouldn't interfere with the magic spell. Even for Velgrind, conjuring such a large-scale incantation required the full attention of her main body. An alternate wouldn't cut it. Thanks to that, she appeared in no hurry to join the upcoming battle, instead choosing to watch it from afar, and Gazel could see that for himself. So they began their descent, slow and relaxed. Kondo greeted them on the ground. "I am honored to meet you, King Gazel," he said nonchalantly. "The legends of your heroism precede you." Gazel snorted and raised his sword. "And you are?" "Lieutenant Kondo, Director of the Imperial Intelligence Bureau." "Ah, the figure stalking the halls of information, as they say. Interesting. I will handle you myself. On guard!" A glance was all it took for Gazel to recognize Kondo's skill. He attempted to read thought against him the moment he sized him up, and it didn't work, a clear sign they were at least equals in skill. Well, allow me to... Enough, Vaughn. You handle the others so they don't get in our way, and all of you as well. I'm the only one here who can take this man. Gazel was addressing all of his advisors now. The team was about to wage this final battle together. Jane was the first to nod her approval. Yes, that man is clearly more than we can handle. Let us clear away the other obstacles, at least, so King Gazel may fight it in peace. Dolph nodded. Very well. Everyone, listen to me. We may outnumber them, but never underestimate their powers. Form groups of 5 and roll out for aerial combat. Sizing up the enemy, he began to issue precise orders to his team. The Pegasus Knights were gifted at assaulting targets from the sky, free of all obstruction, but this time, their strategy called for using their superior numbers to hassle and distract the enemy. Give me 1 sec. Whether Yuki's old friends or members of the Imperial Guardians, every one of them was powerful enough to be considered enlightened. That would rank a special A in the threat level scale used by the Free Guild, comparable in strength to archdemons. Okay. Just a little bit.
There you go.
I might have to get a little bit more.
No. I mean, here, have some more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pour it in.
Yeah.
I thought you were grabbing it so I could try and pour you something through the internet. I was like, yeah, let me pour one out for my homies.
All right, Shem. Here we go. Coming in from the left.
Yeah. There.
Thanks.
Shit! You accidentally gave it to me.
What? Oh, yeah,
no, the water.
What?
The precious water.
Okay, I gotta work on this.
All right,
no.
Take it back. Give
it back. Thank you.
All right, there you go. Good job.
Oh, man, this blanket really, this magic blanket really helps. Huh?
Yeah, right.
Magic blanket.
The right person.
Magic teleporting
blanket. Too bad it's
blanket.
not a cloak of invisibility.
Let me try the other side.
Okay.
Let me try the other side.
Okay.
Moon, you're not getting this, right, Moon? You're not getting this bottle of water?
Hold on.
Oh, that's weird. I can feel your hand.
That's weird.
Don't touch him there.
Thanks.
That's weird.
Don't tickle his knee.
I gotta get my water.
Yeah.
I gotta get my water. Hang on.
Wait, how did it end up to me again?
I don't know. This.
All right, here.
It's weird.
Hey.
What's happening?
Wait, what? Stop touching my crotch!
It's weird. We're gonna get flagged.
I didn't do that.
You did not do
Champ,
that.
you should just continue reading. Champ, can you just
Okay, you got it.
Champ, just
Okay.
All right, we've had enough fun.
I'll try.
We've had enough fun.
I'll try.
we gotta rehearse that later. We'll work on that later.
We're gonna make that a bit someday. We are. We're gonna
Someday.
just make that a just.
We'll practice on it. We'll work on it.
I love that.
Have the same bottle of
you
water
know what? We're entertaining the people. That's the important. The people.
You the people, chat.
You the
Are
people.
you not?
This is
This
is a
Shim's
boring
getting
chapter.
serious.
We
He
have to
took
entertain
his shirt off.
That's a gamer lean now. Okay.
Oh,
right.
Is apparently
We're doing it.
very entertained.
This
Yes.
isn't even my final form stanza.
That's good. I can't read the chat right now, so.
Good. Yeah, he's
Anyway.
very entertained. All right.
Yeah, good. Whether Yuki's old friends or members of the Imperial Guardians, every one of them was powerful enough to be considered enlightened. That would rank it as special A in the threat level scale used by the Free Guild, comparable in strength to archdemons. With the right training, any of them could be potential Demon Lord seeds. Right now, they were all champions of humanity. Dolph's troops, when teamed with a flying mount, were only over A by comparison. Dolph himself wasn't enlightened, and some of the Pegasus Knights stood out from the others, but he didn't see any of them beating any foe here one-on-one. This wasn't the product of statistical reasoning. He had just had a feeling that enemy forces here were that dangerous. They had a better chance of beating them instead of Valgrind, but he still didn't think they could win this fight any normal way. That was the reason behind his orders. They weren't here to annihilate the enemy, but rather to use the aerial advantage to distract them. That, Dolph hoped, would buy them enough time and keep Gazel from having to turn his attention elsewhere. The Pegasus Knights, thankfully, picked up on this without hesitation. I must believe in His Majesty's victory and do my part to achieve it. Besides, we will have more troops soon. That was Dolph's belief, and it was quickly affirmed by an energetic voice. Gwa! It seems we are slightly late. This big oaf was heavier than I expected, so lugging it around took a mighty effort. But now that we are here, everything's fine. So sit back and let your concerns fly away as you enjoy this battle. It was Gabiru, of course.
He's doing too much.
Nice one, Sir Gabiru. Looking good. Indeed. You're more manly than ever now, and we'll follow you wherever you go, so you better be ready for us. I know, I miss them. It's been a while. It's been a long while.
So manly! Oh, I'm sorry. So lizardly!
It's true. They're all looking at him like...
scaly!
Yeah.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Yeah, I love that. The whole Gabi-oo-woo!
Yeah. Gosh, he's so handsome. Yep. Yep. Oh.
No
Yeah,
one flies like Gabi-Roo.
I don't want to worry about.
It's been such a long time. It's almost refreshing.
It is.
We have come a long
it's more
way.
like, why are you even here, though? We already have to drug ourselves through all this already.
But it's kind of refreshing to see his face
Well,
again.
look, here's the thing. They're not fighting Velgrind, okay?
No, they're not.
That's
Kondo.
That's not why they're
Yeah.
here. Calm
They're not even
yourselves.
fighting Kondo.
They're there
Kondo's
to
being
be
fired
a
by
distraction.
Kondo, sorry.
Look, at this point in time, being a distraction is helpful.
Very helpful.
Yeah,
So
because some things,
Yeah.
the Newt Troop, I like that. The Newt
the
Troop.
new troop, we always stick together.
No, that's not where I was going with it. But
Oh,
damn it!
sorry.
Which one of them
Way
is
different.
Max?
Make that a game. Goof troop.
Which one of this is Max?
Yeah,
Yeah. All right. Which one of this is
You
Max?
understand.
It would
No.
probably be Gabiru himself.
probably.
No.
No, it would
have
be
to
it would be the
Gabiru
one with the
himself
helmet.
because,
It's
everything that
the one with the helmet.
No, it can't be
Oh,
Gabiru
maybe.
because Gabiru is goofy. We already know that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
obviously.
The other one is the one with the helmet.
Believe me, if Velgrind smacks
Just-
Gabiru
I
flying,
am Gabiru, the Draco
no.
Lord.
If Gabiru gets
Yeah.
smacked flying by Velgrind, he's literally glowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't even have to be like smacked.
I
just
love
flipped.
it.
Just
Oh.
Just like,
What do you
just like
love
the
most?
cells,
The
just-
idea
just ridiculous.
of Gabiru doing that, or the fact that I can make that noise? Which
Both.
one?
yes, yes.
You still can't do the laugh.
That was close. That was close.
Yuck.
That was pretty close. That was extremely close. It's hard to
I was
do.
better at it when I was younger.
Gee, gosh.
It's hard to do.
Yeah.
Where's
the voice
my
is
yucking
easy
money?
enough. The laugh is a different story entirely.
Yeah.
You know what? Well, yuck you.
Yeah. There you go.
Go yuck
Perfect.
yourself.
Go yuck
Perfect.
yourself.
Oh, you can.
All right. Go yuck yourself, Pete.
Perfect.
I'm
What
having
did you
no
say,
just-
Goofy?
you're
I
just
thought we were
mad.
friends.
You're just mad I've been yucking your wife.
That's right, audience.
I didn't sign up for-
my wife
Oh,
was.
God.
I didn't sign up for Goof Troop NTR today, okay?
I'm just saying.
I did
I'm
not
his
sign up
daughter.
for that today. Saying. I did not think that was on the agenda today, but anyway, here we are.
I was
Meanwhile,
not, I was not
PJ's over
informed
there.
of this
Don't
in the
NTR my
pre-stream
family.
report.
Honestly, I don't know. He seems like the type of guy who wouldn't really care. He's not a very good dad.
Max, what's gonna happen if your dad becomes my dad?
Okay.
Oh my God.
He's
I
100%
can see that.
PJ. He's 100% PJ.
Oh,
Man,
no,
you
I
get
can hear
that was
that.
such a good PJ voice.
That was
Fuck.
That's exactly
Thank
it,
you.
though.
I don't
Yeah.
remember. I
It's
don't
not
know
that
what
hard to
you're
do
referring
for
to.
me.
We're gonna
Yeah.
write.
It's right
we're
in
gonna
that
write.
range.
We're gonna end up writing really, really bad Goof Troop NTR fanfiction, just because.
PJ.
Oh, that's right.
He's just like, PJ, I don't
It's
want
been
to
a
talk
while.
about this.
Shit.
PJ, I don't. Man, who would be? You know what's really sad?
This
You know
is
what's
bad.
really sad? I
What are we
think he's
gonna
still.
do?
You know what's really sad? I think the actual voice of Max still lives one exit away from me. over.
That's
in
awesome. We could go get him.
I've met
That's
him.
amazing.
I've met him. He's
like
really
That'd be
cool
funny.
dude, by the way.
Can I get a comparison
That's awesome.
real quick?
I mean, he was hot, too,
I've
but
met
that-
both Max and Goofy.
Yeah.
They're really cool people. Bill Farmer, awesome.
That's awesome.
Dude. Awesome
Yeah,
dude.
that's great.
Like
All
I
right,
just
sorry.
need this for. I just need a sound clip for reference so I can do someone who's a good imitation of you.
Oh God.
To check.
Oh
with
my
Max is
God.
just like,
Moon.
PJ, I don't want to talk about this. Roxanne and I were on the phone and I was crying for days. It was weird.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, but I mean, things are getting pretty heated between our families.
I don't want to
Especially
think
when I
about having
found
two
out-
dads, PJ.
Especially when
I
I
really-
found out that my sister isn't really my dad's daughter, and
Oh God. Oh God.
no
Oh, my
wonder
God.
she's not
Oh,
able.
We need to talk about our
Alabama.
family.
All right, anyway.
Oh,
Please tell me
sorry.
I'm
Anyway.
gonna
to a worse place.
Yeah, this is going
I
to a
don't like
way
it.
darker
I
place
don't
than
like
I
it.
meant.
I don't like the
Taylor,
I
sequel.
don't have anything else to contribute.
I don't like this
really, I'm
direct to
sorry.
Blu-ray sequel. I don't.
Let's go back to the Gobby Troop.
I don't. Okay.
Look, Disney's taking a weird
Gotta
direction.
be true.
I don't.
Man, Disney really changed since they
Yeah.
bought Lucasfilm.
Yeah. Definitely not for the better. Evidently. Evidently not for the better.
Scruffy looking nerd.
It's like,
can't
oh,
say
you
that
calling
word.
a nerfer?
Only we could use that word.
Yeah, you can't say that here.
Max.
We're gonna flag.
I am your
hate speech.
father. Yuck.
He didn't make that fucking scream he did from the
That's
extremely
not
goofy
true.
movie.
That's impossible.
No, it's improbable.
Oh,
Yuck.
oh God. Okay.
That's
God damn it.
very unlikely.
Mm. Mm.
And the Force?
Should I-
That's just tiny little microscopic things just living in your blood system.
God.
I'm literally
Oh my
doing
God.
Dad, you're ruining my life.
Richie, look, you're not gonna take this seriously. I'm out. All right.
Oh, there he goes. There he goes. He hung up the cord. We get to see his gamer chair.
I'm out.
It's okay. We got Sonic's gamer chair.
Shit.
It's fine. No worries. He's
All
still
right.
here with us in
He's
spirit.
still,
Anyway.
yeah. He'll
Yeah.
come back. He'll come back like
See, I told you
Obi-Wan.
he'd be back.
He'll come back
He's
like
right back.
Obi-Wan in Return of the Jedi. Like, hello there.
Yeah.
But like surrounded
Like,
by a
no.
blue outline.
Kenobi.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You are a bold one. Anyway. He.
When he dropped down
bro.
naked, you remember when he dropped down naked in front of General Grievous? General Kenobi, you are a
You
bold one.
are a bold one.
Just slanging at me.
Oh no, that makes the line.
I will
back
deal
away.
with this
I will deal
Jedi
with
hunk.
it
I mean,
myself.
slime myself.
I will deal
That
with this
just-
Hello
that
there.
Jedi.
like a
It's time
whole-
I
to
will,
fight with our
I will
light
deal with
sabers.
this Jedi slime myself.
I've
Pronunciation
been
is everything.
trained in your Jedi,
Jedi arts by Count Dooku.
And then he has 4 of them.
Dildos instead of lightsabers.
How do you fight with
Spinning
fire?
around. They're making like the
what's
fucking
really,
squeaky
really
noises.
sad?
Oh,
what's really, really
are
sad?
they floppy or not?
We're joking around. I'm sure this porn
on.
already exists.
Oh, it has to. It has to.
If there
We
is,
have to.
if a
Look at
thought
that
can,
cake.
It can. It
There's a
will.
whole
All right.
bakery back there.
God damn.
Damn.
You think Grievous would have a bakery if he had an opportunity?
No.
If you think he could? No?
Do I think that if like he got a better personality, could he actually make a bakery? Could he cook bread? Yes. Do I
Would
think he
he-
would have
no.
a fat ass? No.
If he could have the choice to. If
I
someone
don't think
convinced
they
him
have.
that it was
here's the thing.
strategically
Here's
advantaged.
the thing. I don't think they have Brazilian butt lifts in space. That's all I'm saying.
Well, they wouldn't call it that.
I
They
will
wouldn't call
say,
it Brazilian.
technically,
Where would they get it
it
from?
would be
One of the
strategically
huts?
advantageous for what's his name, Obi-Wan actually.
Obi-Wan to just have a fat ass.
He could.
Yes,
whenever
because
he had to
his
deal with an
particular
overhand,
style
right?
of
he could take it
saber
better because he had a better
Okay.
center of gravity.
He wears a robe. It covers it
Obi-Wan's
all up.
particular style of fighting.
Yes.
His particular style of fighting though is
Defensive,
flirting. He flirts with his enemy to throw him off guard. That's Obi-Wan's
Work on me.
entire fighting style. You could see it best.
He
in the
literally
animated
teases his
series.
opponent.
Guys,
Oh,
do you
really?
realize
Yeah.
that
Essentially.
speaking of teases, do you realize
Have you been
that
working out?
do you realize that Star Wars has teased the final season of the Bad Batch today?
Oh, I was not keeping track.
I sent you.
Oh no! Not only that. Not only that.
I have.
I know that you did. Here's the thing. I'm pretty sure the others that run Anime Church with me don't know a lot about that.
Shucks. I tried.
I will put this out there.
2 or 3 seasons of the Bad Batch.
Oh, then you know. Never mind. He knows about the Bad Batch because there's only 2 seasons. Season 3 of the Bad Batch. I'll tell you the big thing that everybody's talking about. Here's how it ended. The teaser trailer for the Bad Batch ended with hair on her this time, mind you, Asajj Ventress showing up.
Oh,
Osage Ventress.
Yep, so they've retconned that whole ending.
No, they didn't. No, they did not. Everybody is mistaken. Everybody is mistaken. They're like, oh my god, she died during the Dark Apprentice during the Clone Wars. Nope.
No.
Dark Apprentice takes place after the Clone Wars. The Dark Apprentice novel takes place after the Clone Wars. Not during it. It takes place 19 years.
The videos I've seen of that are wrong. They're apparently messed up because they clearly said that she died in that. I'll have to double check that.
There are some people. All right, here's my thing. Filoni is doing this, and Filoni would know best. It is Filoni's story. He gets to tell it.
That whole stuff's being retconned anyway. So
also, if somebody died in a novel, then does it count? Does it really count if they died in a novel?
Filoni.
If they didn't
Once upon a time, it did.
Legends had it. That's what's true.
Legends once said, but hey, Filoni can retcon what he wants because it's now his shit. He runs it. He basically runs the animation department. That's all I'm saying. Anyhow, let's return to the Gabi Roof Troop.
Gotcha. Okay. He had brought along his biggest fans in Team Hiryu, each carrying a chain attached to a large object. The Demon Colossus, so oversized that it required 100 people to transport it by air.
That's what they were doing.
Yeah.
Oh
That's why they were so late to the party.
It's literally Pete's trailer for the Goofy movie.
Yeah,
yeah. That's big. That's big. That's not.
Damn, that's the biggest boy.
Damn boy,
damn boy.
Yeah.
Damn boy.
That's the thickest boy.
Yeah. Anyway. Its size was no problem as it patiently waited labyrinth runners down below. Of course, when it came time to travel to...
Never let it be said that Ghidorah does not have a bakery.
Damn, boy.
Grievous is so jealous.
He's every bakery within the tri-state area. Perfect.
My bakeryinator.
How do we attack them? Quick, bring the Tempest bakery. Load Lord Ghidorah.
He's just a Tempest dragon.
Back that
he turns around.
Truck up.
No, don't the Tempest dragon.
This is how you know. Now here's the thing. Yeah. You know they were going forward. The Colossus was facing forward because if it had been backing up, that whole ass cake would need a beep, beep, beep.
They would need to warn people when it comes in.
All right, I'm sorry. We are so distracting.
I wanted to feel like, how would you do the Perry the Platypus bit with Rimuru?
I told you it's like a Tempest dragon.
On the hat.
Turns around, sees the massive ass. Veldora, the Tempest dragon.
We have read a total of 3 pages.
What about when he's wearing the bakery attire for that stand? It's like, Veldora, food stand clerk? He takes off.
Jesus Christ.
Veldora!
I am so sorry. Look when I started with the Gabi Roof.
That's okay. It's okay. It's all good. That was my fault, partially.
That was 2 different dips.
We have read only 3 pages in the last 30 minutes, and that is my fault.
I will keep going. I will try. Don't worry. I'll try. When it came time to travel to the battlefield, the sheer weight was something of a hindrance. In combat, it was a tried and true menace. It was just very, very slow. It was a problem, but one overlooked. It does have a jump truck, indeed. Fucking an ass with its own address. Perfect.
So
it's too big. It has its own gravitational pull.
What now?
Not to comment.
It has its own address. Oh, I get it.
To what now?
I'm trying really hard not to comment on it.
Oh, never mind.
You tried so hard, fought so long, nanoseconds really.
Got so hard.
But in the
Not even.
end,
I tried.
It got so hard.
Oh my god.
Jesus Christ. Jafar!
Oh.
It got so hard, but wasn't long. Yeah.
Oh god.
All right. Anyway, continue.
Right. Yeah, sorry. Anyway.
Okay.
It was a problem, but one overlooked before now since it was quick enough in melee combat. This will need to be addressed, but now that you've brought it this far, I'll do the very best I can. Ghidorah was bursting with enthusiasm. He eagerly climbed into the Demon Colossus, itching to score some on-the-field kills with it. As he did, he turned his eyes towards Kondo, only to immediately avert them. King Gozel was engaging him, and he didn't think it was his place to interfere, so he turned to look at Velgrind. So, the Marshal was Velgrind, the Flame Dragon, all along. But in that case, it's hard to tell what Damrada's aim is. Did he truly swear his allegiance to His Majesty Fate, the Emperor? Why did he need to order Bernie's troop to protect Masayuki? It makes no sense. But now is not the time to stew over it. If Velgrind makes any moves, this operation is over. I'll have to keep an eye on her to make sure that doesn't happen. With that in mind, Ghidorah directed the Demon Colossus towards Velgrind as she gracefully stood there. Seeing him go, Gabiru flew up next to Dolph. It appears Sir Ghidorah has signed up to engage with Lady Velgrind. We will mop up anyone in the way, as discussed. How reassuring to hear, Sir Gabiru. Ready for a joint operation, then? Indeed. We will go up front and engage the enemy. I leave the backup to you. You may. Gabiru and Dolph exchanged nods, as agreed beforehand. Team Hiryu would take charge with their superior combat ability. The Dragon Newts boasted excellent defenses. Killing any one of them would never be easy, and each one was generously granted a full potion to boot. Anything that didn't kill them instantly was totally survivable, so they'd function just fine as their shields. Right. Sir Dolph, you take command. Wait, what? Dolph exclaimed. This wasn't at the meeting, or this wasn't mentioned at the meeting. Ah, ha, ha, ha. I am Gabiru, the Draco Lord. Prepare to die. But Gabiru paid the confused Dolph no further mind as he made his charge toward his target, one of the men they thought was associated with Kondo. Gobwa looked on in amazement at Gabiru. Her team was the last to arrive, but that was understandable, given that they were the only land-based force to speak of. They still boasted over A speed, however, and they reached the battlefield just as hostilities began. They had even maneuvered themselves behind the enemy just as planned. If Sir Gabiru is challenging that man solo, he must be extraordinarily powerful, I imagine. The man next to her refuted the idea. You think? He looks like a wimpy guy in glasses to me, the type good at clerical work. This was Phobio, the black-leopard fang and member of the three Beastketeers, excuse me. He never did return home once all was said and done, and now he found himself following Gobwa into battle. Gobwa was secretly happy about that, but she also had Team Kurenai to run, a post granted by Benimaru, and thus she had a duty to maintain military dignity.
The two people who were rejected by the people they loved.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Ouch.
That's okay.
It's
okay.
It's essentially the silver medals of marriage.
Oh, okay. So I should voice them more.
No. So they literally
familiarly.
Gobwa and it sounds like Gobwa and Phobio may have kindled a romance. Not necessarily physically, but they may have kindled a romance.
They
understanding.
They have
a
an
romance.
understanding. Yeah. That's
No. It's
sometimes
not a romance.
those are the strongest
Gobwa
ones.
is a girl.
Like they're patting each other on the back, but then while they're like trying to
actual
comfort each other,
romance.
but then while they're doing it, it's like, oh,
Phobio's a guy, Gobwa's a girl.
He was a boy, she was a
case.
girl. Yep.
Could I make it any more obvious?
Yeah, perfect.
the
Thank you.
secret side story, the secret side love story that we all didn't know we wanted.
Sir Phobio, your abilities are beyond reproach, but I think you need to learn how to better evaluate your enemy. Wow, Gobble is so harsh. Just Phobio is fine. I'm no stranger to you. We are on a wartime mission. It is important to maintain operational formality. This talk looked like nothing more than friendly flirting to the people serving them. They were stuck on a tense battlefield, but for some reason, there was an odd warmth in the air. So, what are we doing now? Phobio asked, suddenly serious.
The defense rests, Your Honor.
Yeah, there we go. We will stay here and wait for the right moment, Gobor replied, herself switching gears. Achieving our tactical objective here is no longer possible. The operation is already a failure. Depending on Lady Velgrin's moves, all of us could be wiped out. If our focus was survival, then fleeing is our only available option. But we haven't been granted that choice. For now, we must reduce the number of obstacles in our way and lighten Surimuru's burden as much as possible.
By the
it
way,
took true resolve to make that statement.
The word is viable.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, that's okay.
I read available.
It's okay. Viable. That's all.
Yeah.
All right.
It took true resolve. Yeah. It took true resolve to make that statement. If Elgrin could be kept here, Rimuru could use that opportunity to strike down Emperor Ludora, or make him agree to a peace deal. That was the key to all of this, but the moment Velgrin started sending out copies of herself with parallel existence, the operation was doomed. Normally, they should have suspended everything at that point, but anyone with enough authority to make that call was currently out of contact. Gabiru was Supreme Commander at this moment, and he wanted to keep this going. Testarossa and the demons agreed with him, and Gobo had no objection. We'll do what we can. That was all there was to it. It was unclear just how many other Velgrins she could create, but they were prepared to stop them all in their tracks, and if possible, stop Kagali from completing the ritual she was engaged in. You trying to get yourself killed? No. His Majesty Sir Rimuru would never allow us to die. That's why I refuse to accept any casualties today. The Team Hiryu members all nodded at this fairly absurd order. But if Velgrin goes on the move, you got nothing to stop her, yeah? If it comes to it, we will run and leave it in Lord Ghidorah's hands. Gobo gave Phobio a wink. It had enough destructive force to stop him in his tracks. Well, alright. I'll just turn off my brain and stir up a little dust then. I see someone I want to settle a score with too, so I better go say hello. Phobio had gone through the painful experience being tricked by Footman and Tyr before, but he didn't resent them for it. His own inexperience was to blame. In fact, he was even thankful for the opportunity to grow from it. That was his simple, cheerful approach to life, befitting the beastman he was, and it made him feel for his nemesis now that he saw him being manipulated like this. Don't do anything rash. I can't promise that I won't, but I swear I'll make an effort not to die. With those words, Phobio joined the fight. Lieutenant Kondo was up against King Gazel. Gabiru was eyeing a bespectacled Imperial intelligence officer. Vaughn and Henrietta were squared up against Footman and Tyr. Phobia was about to join the fray, while Gobo and her team were working out their next move. Finally, Velgrin, glowering over the battlefield, caught sight of the demon colossus piloted by Ghidorah, and thus each battle began. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, Gazel's mind was as quiet as a passing breeze. He was facing Kondo now, not as king, but as a warrior and accomplished sword fighter. Kondo, following Gazel's instructions, drew his military sword. He was just as quiet, letting out an admiring exhale in Gazel's stance. Oh, very impressive. They don't call you Master of the Sword for nothing. This was more than just mere flattery. He was being sincere with him, but Gazel just snickered back. Nonsense. Coming from you, it sounds like nothing but sarcasm. That, too, was sincere. He said it because Kondo's stance was also a beauty to behold. No visible holes to it at all. He was holding his sword with both hands, deadly serious and never letting his guard down. Quite a different approach from the one he took with Footman. Even more surprising, he and Gazel were assuming a totally identical fighting stance, as if they had arranged ahead of time. The two of them crossed swords silently a couple times, gaining a grasp at each other's abilities. It was clear to both that their similar stances were no coincidence. Gazel learned his swordsmanship under Hakuro, and he still followed Hakuro's teachings for the core of his style, although he mixed in some of his own techniques as well. This was the Oboro, or Crestwater, a style that was handed down from Hakuro's grandfather, Byakuya Araki, and no one but Hakuro was teaching this style now. Even Gazel, a student of the Crestwater style, didn't know everything about it. He knew there was still secrets and techniques to it yet to be discovered, but as the official instructor of the Monster Nation, Hakuro was deeply involved with the training of all its soldiers. That included hammering the basics of swordsmanship into them all, naturally, but it was unlikely the Empire was aware of this. Besides, swordsmanship wasn't something you could just pick up overnight. So Gazel decided to ask the question, but as he did, Kondo spoke up as well. Why do you know the Oboro's style stance like that? I had my suspicions after hearing about you, but your technique is similar to my own Crestwater. Who did you learn it from? They glared at each other. Gazel was the first to respond. Oboro. Are you saying that Oboro is different from Crestwater? Kondo pondered the question for a moment, his expression the same as always. The information I had indicated that in the Dwarven Kingdom, they preferred an unorthodox approach to swordsmanship, a blade in one hand and a shield in the other. Does that connect to this? He didn't have much information to work with, but Kondo was still close to the right answer. But his silence was making Gazel impatient. Are you not going to answer me? Don't hurry me, please. Your Crestwater style is likely in the same lineage as what I have learned. That's why I wanted to ask you back. There's no way this nearly identical sword school just happened to develop on its own in this world, too, is there? Likely not, Gazel muttered as he recalled the story he heard of Hakuro's grandfather during training. Sir Hakuro, my master told me that Crestwater was taught to him by his grandfather. He was a visitor from another world, apparently. I imagine that explains this. Unbeknownst to Gazel and Kondo, Byakuya Araki actually had a younger brother. This was a man who introduced what he called Oboro to Japan, the world Kondo was born in. It was half sword style, half mystical art, meant to dispel evil and fend off ghouls and monsters. Kondo had been tapped to be just such a demon hunter, and as part of that, he learned what was called the Oboro Shinmei Ryu style in Japan, a style very close to Araki's original teachings. Funny to see we belong to the same school. Kondo looked genuinely amused, a rare thing to see from him. He usually never revealed his emotions, so his chuckling seemed all the more ominous. Your Majesty, I have a proposal for you. What is that? As a fellow Oboro user, I offer you my friendship. I see you are more than strong enough to join our side, my lord. If you disarm yourself and swear your allegiance to the Emperor, I promise to cease all acts of aggression against our country at once. And you think I would accept that offer? I do, because if you give it rational thought, you'll see it as the best way to minimize the damage. Kondo was right, Gazo thought. In fact, he couldn't hope for a better offer. He wanted to protect the people of the Dwarven Kingdom, saying yes was absolutely the right thing to do. As a monarch, he needed to accept it without any further hesitation. Now that he knew what sort of threat Velgrin was, there was just no way they could win. Their whole objective for this battle was nebulous, hard to grasp, and they should never have attempted it at all. It was all based on the wishful thinking that Rimuru's group would settle things with Eldora before any major damage was done. If I consider my own people... But before he could finish that thought, Gazel smiled, shaking off his hesitation. Ridiculous! If you think you've already won, then you have no idea how dangerous letting your guard down is. Such a conceited way of thinking. I'll teach you a lesson about that! With that shout, Gazel focused on the enemy in front of him. All distractions were banished. The defeat of Kondo was the only thing on his mind. Then, with his brain, body, and beloved sword working as one, he unleashed his saint-level force at full throttle. The result was a true champion. One who could almost reach the level of an awakened demon lord, and yet, despite seeing Gazel in that state, Kondo remained as relaxed as ever. Oh, brother, not as wise as they said you are you? Then so be it. Allow me to give you a final lesson before your fame crashes to the ground. The words signaled the beginning of a battle between two saints. Several minutes passed. Kondo had the upper hand. He had no problem dispelling the heroic aura that Gazel released. Running a similar type of spiritual force across his own body canceled all its effects. But even in terms of pure swordsmanship, the difference was clear. Gazel unleashed a skill called Crestwater Thundering Heavens, a series of vertical slashes. Yet with some nimble moves of his own, Kondo fought right back with Shippu Raiha, a horizontal cleaving technique. This was followed up with Shiden Totsu, the fastest thrusting move in his arsenal, but Gazel parried it with his own Crestwater slash. They were members from the same school, so they knew each other's techniques very well. But little by little, Gazel's reaction times began lagging. Kondo had mastered more techniques than Gazel. Just as I thought. Crestwater features some techniques that are unknown outside of its own school. Even I, as close as I am to the original lineage, do not know all of them. Hakuro was his name, you said? I had my doubts over just how well a mere monster could ever understand the true nature of the blade. Kondo was being honest, but he didn't intend to mock Hakuro at all. The way of the sword was a profound one indeed, passed down from generation to generation uninterrupted. Kondo was proud of his own school, and that's why he said what he did. The comment touched a nerve with Gazel. You dare insult my master? He glared at Kondo, his expression even fiercer than before, and then another person joined them. If that, King Gazel, is enough to disturb you on the battlefield, I see you still need a bit more training. Go cool your head over there while I take over for a little while. Hakuro, part of the rear guard as Gobo's advisor, arrived on the scene. Oh shit! Excuse me. Kondo looked at Hakuro, instantly recognizing his abilities. The next moment, the piercing clang of steel against steel echoed through the air. Kondo drew his sword and struck with a classical Iaido move. Hakuro used his own hidden sword to catch it. Oh, you can catch this. Heaven Gaze, Hakuro's third eye, was open on his forehead, and had now surpassed the framework of an extra skill, even going beyond the realm of unique skills, and allowed him to keep up with Kondo's sword drawing. A brilliant piece of work, but you share in the same school as my grandfather. Strange bedfellows indeed. You may call me a monster, but why don't you see for yourself just how well I understand the true meaning of the sword? Interesting. If you're that insistent about it, let me show you just how good I am. Thus began the battle between Kondo and Hakuro, with Gazel there to watch. Kondo liked his chances. There were no denying Hakuro's abilities. That much you could tell at a glance. But it was an unquestionable fact from his point of view that no monster could understand the true nature of a sword. Oboro Shinmei Ryu, after all, was a style invented for the purposes of combat against demons. It should have been naturally repellent to monsters, and there's no way a monster could master it. That conclusion seemed totally natural to Kondo. What's more, there was no way anyone could imagine that the true founder of Oboro Shinmei-ryu, the elder brother of the school's creator, would be in this world in the first place. He can use the school's innermost techniques, and that was beyond my expectations. But anything beyond that was only passed down to members of the original family. I don't know how capable this visitor was, but it'd be impossible for him to impart Oboro's innermost secret moves to a monster. It was perhaps inevitable that Kondo would use his common sense to come up with that judgment, but it was a big mistake, a rare unadvised assumption on his part, and the cost of making it would be high. Hakuro and Kondo squared up against each other. The moment they were within killing range, they simultaneously launched their attacks. Baika. Gokutots. Staking his pride as a swordsman, Kondo showed off his well-trained technique. It was a foolish move to make, and he had the temerity for it only because Hakuro was in the same school as him. He thought, in one corner of his mind, that he needed to wrap up this duel quickly and efficiently, but the move he chose would do nothing for that. It was a violent outburst, well out of character for the normally calm, collected Kondo. He wanted to show his prowess to his peers in this world by breaking out the best techniques he knew from the start. Gokutots was a stabbing technique meant to symbolize a plum blossom. It was one of the loftiest techniques Kondo was taught, a closely kept secret that would never be found outside of his own school. A five-strike move.
Hold on. A what?
It was one of the...
Gokutots?
It was a stabbing...
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gokutots, yeah.
I'm hearing that, and all I hear is... I'm hearing Gototsu. Like...
Yeah,
I'm thinking... No, I'm hearing Gatotsu, right? As in, like...
Gatotsu,
Gatotsu from Kenshin, like that Kenshin's
like
immediate rival. Yeah. The Shinsengumi guy from Rurouni Kenshin. So I was like, wait a minute, Gatotsu? What? No. Okay. That threw me off for a second. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
All good. A 5-strike move, it aimed at 5 of the 10 vital points of the human body: eyes, throat, heart, kidneys, solar plexus, groin, and as a diversion, the shoulders. What it aimed at could be changed depending on the current situation, requiring skillful technique to pull it off. Few of his fellow swordsmen had mastered this art, and that's why unleashing it against Hakuro was a miscalculation. Multi-layered. Blossom Flash! Hakuro countered with the greatest of his own secret techniques, a continual flowing strike that slashed the enemy 8 times in an instant, in any of 1,000 different combinations. Kondo and Hakuro were equal in level, but there was a big difference in their core fighting abilities. By Hakuro's reckoning, Kondo was dozens of times more physically gifted than him. If this skill didn't work, in essence, Hakuro's defeat was all but certain. It was with that resolve in mind that he drew his sword. Kondo was aiming to overwhelm his foe. Hakuro wanted to deliver a fatal blow, even if he had wanted to go along for the ride. That's what both were hoping for with this clash of skills. But both of them wound up off the mark. Hakuro's blade slashed 8 times like a multi-layered cherry blossom shredding its buds, faster than any regular person could see, but they were offset by Kondo's 5 plum petals. Failing to reach their destination, Kondo reared back, and thanks to that, Hakuro only managed to graze his cheek. Even that, however, was an unfortunate result from Kondo's point of view. I never thought there was a swordsman in this world who could surpass me. Hakuro's Blossom Flash was superior as a technique to Kondo's Gokutots. That fact shattered all preconceptions for Kondo, forcing him to admit his mistake. But it was still Kondo who won the duel. Hakuro was brilliant up to the point where he offset Kondo's technique, but the difference in power was too great. The clash just now had cut Hakuro's arms to gruesome ribbons, rendering them useless. Not even the most powerful of my moves could reach you. No, it did. Allow me to apologize for looking down on you. That, and I wish to ask, what was your grandfather's name? Kondo was sorry for looking down on Hakuro as a monster. He wanted to pay his respect to this man, now clearly a better swordsman than he. When it came to the blade, at least, he was a sincere person, but at the same time, he never judged matters based on his personal feelings. That was how Tatsuya Kondo worked. My grandfather was named Byakuya Araki, a swordsman without equal, but he sadly left us for the afterlife long ago. A pity. And Araki is the surname of the head family of Oboro Shinmei-ryu. He may have been related to the founder indeed. If he had at least reached the level of enlightened, he surely would have been one of the most powerful people in the world. Kondo offered him a silent word of prayer. When it came to his own sword school, he was all business. Hakuro looked down on him and sighed. My grandfather was an eccentric man, you see. He preferred to live a life at his own pace. But do you think you could step aside for now? Hakuro decided to risk the question, sensing Kondo's respect for him, but it was not to be. I will ensure you are protected, but I cannot stop this war. The way I see it, the worst thing you can do is take half measures. Kondo was nonchalant in his reply. Hakuro assumed as much. He was in no panic about it anyway. I already knew I was going to lose. I'll never make it back to the battlefront with these arms. But I suppose I've done what I've set out to do. No, Hakuro's goal here was not victory, but rather to show Gazo how he fought against Kondo. If Gazo Dwargo, a master of the sword, could see Hakuro's innermost skills in action, he would be able to understand them and make them his own. Even if he didn't learn it all immediately, he'd certainly receive some hints, at least, and what's more, Kondo revealed a secret move of his own, and that would improve Gazo's chances as well. I suppose I am done here then. No need for further protection. I have zero intention of living in disgrace. If my last moments are nigh, I want to take as many enemy soldiers as possible along with me, but now is not the time. For now, I need to concentrate on healing these hands. They were gravely wounded beyond what even a full potion could heal. One of the deepest secrets of battle will involve permeating a target with one's own fighting spirit to destroy it, and Kondo's spirit had penetrated Hakuro's defenses during combat. The only way for Hakuro to heal them was to neutralize the force with his own aura, but Hakuro looked unaffected as he turned towards Gazel. Now, King Gazel, have you cooled down yet? Of course. Seeing your techniques in motion astounded me, my master. I actually did not intend to teach you that, but I wasn't in any position to hold back. The rest, I leave up to you. Yes, master. Hakuro stepped back as Gazel stood in front of Kondo, and he slipped away from the front lines, holding his head high, as if his part of the war was now over. Now Kondo and Gazel were facing each other again. Kondo, still ashamed of his own shallowliness, mentally flipped the page. I suppose I lost my cool a little. That's enough playtime for now, though. Time to get back to work. Pfft. I hate to say it, but I agree with you. I must live up to my master's expectations, and so, I will give it my all. Kondo and Gazel both looked different from before. They knew each other's full abilities now, and they were serious about this. Gazel was grateful to Hakuro. If he'd kept fighting Kondo earlier, his defeat would have been inevitable. The secret Gokutotsu move Kondo used would have been impossible to defend at first sight. Even if it miraculously failed to fatally wound him, Kondo's fighting spirit would have destroyed him from the inside like it did with Hakuro, rendering him incapable of fighting. I didn't realize all that driven fighting spirit could be so much of a threat. I knew that was one of Battle Will's most powerful secret techniques, but perhaps I didn't fully understand it before now. Cool picture. Gazel felt a bit uplifted as he reflected upon this. There was still room for him to grow. Kondo was your name, wasn't it? Well, enjoy having a taste of my full powers. As soon as he said it, Gazel released his own secret move. Spirit summon, elemental lord of the nameless earth, come to me! Unleashing his power as a saint, Gazel invited the earth elemental lord to ensconce itself in his body. They were fully unified now, and they had energy swords that rivaled even exceeded that of an ancient awakened demon lord. It operated on a strict time limit, but it was still Gazel's ace in the hole. But Kondo was unfazed. Ridiculous. Even exposed to Gazel's onrush of energy, Kondo remained calm. Gazel didn't show any displeasure at this, holding his sword forward. Sharpening his mind, he let the will flow within him, pouring it into his blade. Gazel now had perfect control over the vast amounts of energy being unified with the Earth Elemental Lord granted to him. It was a feeling unlike anything he had experienced before. Well done, Master. You allowed me to tap into the innermost workings of this school, did you not? Now I can win. I can reach even greater heights than ever before. He could feel his mind, his heart, and his body all rise up. His mind itself was a skill, energized with his full mastery of the unique skill Tyrant. His skills were an art, the art of Crestwater as taught by Hakuro, capable of converting spiritual energy to physical force. Right now, Gazel could use it all to gather all the energy coursing through his body and focus it on a single target. Tyrant allowed him to put it all together, letting it grow into the best possible strike he could manage. He was sure no one could defeat his sword, and now he made his move, a strike of divine speed, but it never reached Kondo. There was a small bang, and Gazel fell to his knees with a clatter. Cut! Blood poured out of his mouth as he looked down, dumbfounded at the red streak spreading across his stomach. Kondo's Nambu semi-automatic handgun was in his right hand, a cloud of gunpowder smoke billowing from it. The bullet that felled Gazel had been fired from that very gun. Where is your pride as a swordsman? Gazel spat out blood as he spoke, his face contorted with anger and humiliation, but Kondo couldn't have cared less. I told you I was done with playtime. Pride is useless in a battle. My duty is to win by any means necessary. His voice was cold, a completely different tone from the person so concerned with his sword technique a moment ago. Nonsense! This won't be the end of me! Gazel tried to stand up, a look of desperation on his face, but he couldn't move his body the way he wanted, and soon he was on the ground again. And no wonder, it was no mere bullet Kondo shot him with, but a necrosis bullet, a special type that contained Kondo's own will. It wasn't driven by something he borrowed from Emperor Ludora, but rather an ultimate skill he had manifested on his own. Kondo had literally used his own power to awaken himself into an ultimate skill. The skill was Sendalfon, Lord of Judgment, and the command it held over battle made it supremely strong. It allowed him to fight on behalf of Emperor Ludora, a human being who desired to attain the throne of God himself. Sandalphon was what powered his necrosis bullets, which could destroy the veins and outlets through which magic flowed in the target's body, allowing him to kill even spiritual life forms. Gazel was no weakling. In fact, he was one of the strongest people in the world. If the conditions were right, he could even defeat an awakened demon lord. But against Kondo, there was a strength barrier that not even he could ever overcome. It all came down to the presence, or lack thereof, of an ultimate skill. In that respect, the duel was decided even before it took place. Don't waste your time. I have no intention of killing you, your majesty. I will detain you for the time being, but when everything is settled, I promise you will be released. Kondo's voice was calm. He wasn't lying, but naturally he wasn't telling the complete truth. Gazel would be released, but only after a Dominion bullet allowed Kondo to exercise his full domination over him. This was what he used to take control of Kagali, and it was also why he wanted to capture Gazel alive. It was an act as terrifyingly ruthless as it was perfectly rational, and that, too, said everything about the nature of Tatsuya Kondo. Hakuro, too, was no longer in any position to move. Witnessing Kondo's strength left him meekly standing there, looking frustrated. At this point, Kondo's victory seemed all but assured. I am Gabiru, the Draco Lord. Prepare to fight! With that shout, Gabiru sized up the enemy and charged ahead, leaving the rest of his forces behind. It made him a total failure of a commander, but at the same time, it wasn't necessarily a tactical mistake. The strength of his chosen enemy, after all, was truly outstanding. He was a kind-looking man in glasses, not really standing out from the group, and yet Gabiru called him out without the slightest hesitation. I want you! Yes, you! I hereby order you to take me on! The bespectacled man's lips twisted into a sneer as Gabiru used his lance to point him out. Well, great. I was trying to act like an ordinary intelligence officer, but I suppose you noticed what I'm capable of. The man removed his glasses as he spoke. The moment he did, his entire atmosphere changed. Very well, then. I will take you on. But before that, will everyone around me please move a safe distance away? He was ordering his own allies, his previous shyness now gone, but his bewildered companions didn't get the message. Whoa, Marco, you're not cut out for fighting at all. Yeah, quit trying to act tough. You know any of us could kick your ass. The man called Marco smiled at his concerned comrades. Well, it was a real comfortable place to work, but that was just a front. I'm actually part of the single digits, number 8 to be exact. You understand what this means, don't you? Looking at this suddenly changed man, everyone realized that good old Marco was actually in disguise the whole time. They also instantly realized that he had authority to hand them orders like the one he gave them a moment ago. Right away, sir. Good luck. Marco's companions scattered. With a sigh of relief, he turned his squinting serpentine eyes towards Gabiru. He, too, had seen Gabiru's strength for what they were. In this world, attempting to challenge a truly outstanding fighter with overwhelming numbers was usually meaningless. Marco, well aware of that, shooed the rest of the group away from himself, even though some of them were Imperial Knight-level talents. You are Gabiru, then? Well, thanks a lot for taking my job away from me. You'll pay for that with your life, you know. Sir Rimuru mentioned the single digits to me. He said that even he considered them dangerous, as I recall. But now I've been blessed with the opportunity to deal with one all by myself. Gabiru sounded overjoyed, and with that, the battle between two great heroes began. Marco was best described as a man whose main features was his total lack of features. He had joined the Imperial Guardians about 800 years ago, his unique skill Adapter attracting the attention of then Guardian leader Damrata for its potential as an infiltration skill. Adapter offered Marco the notable ability to disguise himself to look exactly like anyone he saw. This wasn't like copy, part of Hinata's unique skill Usurper. Rather, it was the ability to mimic an exact duplicate of a given person. Only so much could be imitated, and the target was someone who far exceeded him in strength. It wasn't possible to duplicate all of that. Still, the more powerful the people he encountered, the more general-purpose strength his experience would grant him. That was how Marco survived the ordeal for awakening himself as a saint, and how he eventually rose to the single digits. Now he had been part of the Imperial Guardians for about 100 years. It was precisely because of this skill that Marco could not shake the awe he felt for Kondo. Even if Kondo was a visitor from another world, possessing a soul more powerful than most, his strength was still ponderously difficult to comprehend. Marco was actually the first person Kondo challenged to a ranking duel, giving him a glimpse at his extraordinary strength. Marco assumed he received special treatment due to being a favorite of the Emperor, but he quickly learned that he was wrong. Kondo's strength was impossible to employ Adapter on, despite his saint-level fighting ability, and that was how Kondo easily defeated the top ranks to become leader of the group. Even the 4 knights, all freaks of nature in Marco's eyes, were defeated by Kondo without a second thought. That was why Marco practically worshipped the ground Kondo walked on. He even followed Kondo's example of sticking to his rank of lieutenant, serving as a similarly rank-and-file second lieutenant in the Empire. He served the Imperial Intelligence Bureau mainly so he could serve as Kondo's fixer. Right now, he faced a formidable enemy in the form of Gabiru. He fought him back with a spear of his own, but he quickly understood that he couldn't win the battle as it stood, so he decided to change himself into the form of a person he believed was strongest of all. Moving a distance away from Gabiru, Marco transformed into Kondo, the ultimate enchantment alternative. A gift lent to him by the Emperor allowed him to use Adapter with even more precision than usual. Marco thus had strength and ability similar to Kondo's own now. How strange. Is that your true form? No, Marco replied, posing as Kondo. This is me imitating the man I believe is the strongest in the world. The 4 knights were strong as well, but they couldn't hold a candle to Lieutenant Kondo. In fact, Marco took a glance at the battlefield unfolding next to him. Even King Gazel, the renowned champion, was no match for him, was he? Gabiru groaned at this. His magic sense skill operated in a wide range now, and thanks to that, he knew all of it. His allies were not faring well. Hakura was out of battle, and as Marco pointed out, King Gazel was struggling too. It appears so. The moment Lieutenant Kondo went into combat, there was no doubt as to who would win. That's why I didn't want to reveal my full skills to anyone around here. You never know who might leak word out. And it's better to keep your powers hidden away, isn't it? With that casual comment, Marco transformed his weapon from a spear to a military sword. This was a legend-class weapon lent to him for the moment, but Marco could change its shape to anything he wanted. He readied the sword as Kondo would, striking just as majestic in appearance. Gabiru, meanwhile, held up his vortex spear, a magical weapon that was now the treasure of all lizard men. His father Abiru entrusted it to him, and it now felt familiar in his hands. He had used it in many fierce battles, and whenever it was damaged, Kurobe's able hands fixed it up for him. Its capabilities were unique in nature, but it was also a stout ally to Gabiru, one he cared a great deal for. Still, it was no legend, and given that differences in weapon performance can often determine victory or defeat, Gabiru was at an overwhelming disadvantage. Gabiru also had the dragon skin ability, and that brought his equipment closer to god class. As he saw it, Marco was at the level of a saint, equal in strength to his awakened self, and so he spared no effort from the very beginning. Can this man truly penetrate my defense? He was pretty confident in his defensive abilities. Jesus. You couldn't win a battle unless you inflicted decisive damage on your opponent. This wasn't boxing, no matter how many blows you landed. If they weren't fatal, it was all for nothing. Gabiru didn't think Marco's weapon was enough to break through his own defenses, but he wasn't about to let his guard down either. Carefully, he watched his opponent's moves. Here I go! Yes, come to me! Gabiru's misfortune was that he entered into hostilities with Marco too soon. When he was awakened, his power was enormous, but he had yet to fully master it. Just as Ultima feared, even in his pre-revolutionary stage, he was not fully capable of handling his magical count. Whether there was great power in his hands or not, he couldn't use it to its fullest extent. He boasted extraordinary defense and healing, and that alone made him very strong, but he picked the wrong opponent this time. Baika! Gogatots! Vortex Crash! Gabiru survived only because of his careful response. In terms of strength, they were an even match, Gabiru perhaps just a touch superior, but in terms of skill level, Marco's perfect imitation of Kondo made him far more powerful. Marco couldn't produce even 80% of Kondo's actual abilities. He couldn't simulate his ultimate skill Sandalphon, and if he was paired against Gazel, he would be doomed. This bare-bones version of Kondo was on more of an even footing with Gabiru, and between that and his defenses, Gabiru should have been assured of victory. But sometimes the element of luck comes into play. Marco looked like the overwhelming victor, but his victory was a close call. Boy, I sure can't laugh at Major General Faraga now. Gabiru the Draco Lord, eh? No wonder he mistook him for Veldora, Marco muttered to himself as he watched Gabiru collapse on the ground. At this moment, Gabiru's fate was about to reach its end. My brother! Just then, a figure stood before Marco, as if protecting Gabiru. It was Soka, whose force had just rushed into the scene. Gabiru's own troops were there as well. Lord Gabiru!
It's your girlfriend, dude. Make sure to give her a better voice next time.
Okay. Oh, that was her. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought that like he was on the ground and he was seeing somebody that he recognized.
No,
Sorry.
That's Soka, his sister, coming to his aid.
So she was very very upset. Let me try that again.
That's okay. No, you don't go back.
We'll just keep going. Okay.
Yeah.
Lord Gabiru, please don't die, Gabiru. No, Lord Gabiru should never die in a place like this. They knew they couldn't defeat Marco, but they still dared to stand up to him. And it was that courage that saved Gabiru's life. Individually, none of them were as good as the saint-level Marco, but all of them still earned a special A rank. They dove into their stores of healing potions, desperately trying to buy as much time as possible. But Marco's technique, modeled after Kondo's, let him destroy enemies from the inside with the fighting spirit he infused in them. The skill essentially nullified the effects of potions, and it meant Sokka's force had to be prepared to die for the cause. One by one, Gabiru's troops began to fall. Now it was Nanso, a part of Sokka's force, who was lying unconscious. The skill difference wasn't that great, but the strength difference was. Even worse, Marco's weapon was legend class. It was simply too insurmountable an advantage, and so the casualties gradually continued to rise. Fortunately, none of them died. Rimuru's evolving Gabiru had made everyone under him stronger as well. That provided a boost to their endurance, and thanks to that, they just barely escaped the final exit. The ongoing effects of Marco's attacks, however, meant they were out of the battle. At this rate, they were likely to be massacred before long. So Gabiru spoke up. Enough! Enough, all of you! It is time to run! Sokka, this is an order! Take everyone with you and leave here at once! He desperately tried lifting himself up as he looked towards Sokka. She didn't even look back at him as she sneered. I refuse, my brother. I serve Sir Soe, not you. I am under no obligation to heed your orders. What are you? Besides, if we run away at this point, that is guaranteed to produce deaths within our ranks. You among them, brother. The normally calm Sokka screamed out, not caring about how it looked. This confused the speechless Gabiru. What are you talking about? It is the role of any commander to keep casualties as low as possible, even if by a little. Isn't it your job to abandon the defeated and make sure that as many of us possible survive? Gabiru struggled to even get off the ground now. He could barely continue speaking as he watched his comrades fight on, but Sokka dismissed his words. Then my plan is the right one. None of us are weak enough to be killed by a single blow. This is how we are buying time. They would continue to fight, not caring if their friends fell. They would use their numbers to harass Marco, being careful to take as little damage as possible from him. That was Sokka's plan. The way they'd search for a chance at victory. That's nonsense. There's no guarantee that rescue will ever come. Now that Rimuru and his other top officers were on their way to the Imperial capital, they could not expect any support from them. And even if the currently evolving ones woke up from their slumber, none of them would be rushing to the rescue right this moment. They could count on the 3 demonesses, but they were currently dealing with Velgrin, an even more powerful enemy. They were the ones who needed support right now. There was no way they could ask them for help. Gabiru understood this as well, so he issued the order to retreat, but his troops defied him. No, Gabiru, it's you! You're the one we've been waiting for! Yes, Sir Gabiru, get those injuries healed and rise back to your feet! Indeed, we will buy you time as we await your revival, Sir Gabiru. There was no other way to save everyone here! Gabiru suddenly grew ashamed of himself. Was he the only one, he wondered, who had given up on victory? What have I done? Very well, then. Hold your own until I stand back up, even if you must do it on willpower alone. He shouted it out, knowing full well how reckless it sounded. Hot tears spilled from his eyes, eloquently illustrating his emotional state. The goddess of victory will never abandon those who do not give up. Now another pair responded to his call. Oh boy, you're as reckless as ever, aren't you? If so, let me lend you a hand. The young lady has given me an order. She told me not to let Sir Gabiru down, for he is an important plaything to her, so here I am. Ultima servants, Beiran and Zonda, had arrived on the scene at some point.
An important plaything.
Yeah.
God damn it.
You are basically her toys. We cannot allow them to be broken.
Squeak. Right.
Yeah. I think survival is going to be a lot harder than death, Zonda muttered, but the battlefield was now too loud for Gabiru to make it out. Fortunately for him, Beiran stood to the side of Sokka, ever the faithful butler. Then he raised his staff upwards towards Marco. I will fight him, Lady Sokka, so please back me up. Zonda will aid you with healing duties, and so we'd like the rest of you protect the wounded. Yes, sir. Let us begin, then. As soon as Sokka responded, Beiran went on the move. He was a demon peer and marquis back in his own realm, and while his energy stores were less than a quarter the size of Marco's, he exceeded him in skill level. It may not be enough to win, but it would certainly be enough to irritate his foe. Why must you all annoy me so? You just keep coming in one after the other, before I can finish any of you off. Of course, it is our mission to gauge the strength of our enemy as well. Great. It's so frustrating, isn't it, when people try to copy our own core strength? I'm going to take you out. I'm going to take out that nasty-looking got you! As he fought back against Veyron, Marco turned his murderous gaze upon the downed Gabiru. It was a momentary opening, but not one that Sokka would miss. She spoke up on purpose, hoping to draw attention to herself and bring Marco further astray. If her kunai reached him, then good. If not, she figured, Veyron's blade would stab him instead. Marco saw this coming, and so he made the best choice possible. In essence, he decided to expose himself to Sokka's kunai instead of avoiding it. It was the correct answer, too, because any reaction he'd make against Sokka would only allow Veyron to more seriously wound him. Continuing to ignore Sokka, Marco parried Veyron's staff away, reminding himself of the perils of letting his mind drift during battle. I'll finish him off once I beat these two. They're just so nasty. There was no doubting that Gabiru was the most dangerous out of all of them. That was why Marco wanted to finish him off quickly. Instead, he got greedy, and now he had a stab wound to show for it. It wasn't anything too serious, but simply letting himself get hurt while taking the form of his beloved Kondo was unforgivable. Let's get rid of you two first. Do you think that you can, then? I hope you're not being a sore loser, swore Veyron. Perhaps I am, but no need to hurry. Let's do our job. Thus, Veyron and Sokka formed a tag team against Marco, fighting on despite the odds. Zona was on the move as well. This is quite tricky, isn't it? You're using aura, or fighting spirit, aren't you, since you're human, to leave your energy inside your opponent as if emitting magical dispelling waves. Truly a frightening technique. And since we are spiritual life forms, it'll work on all of us. That was how he diagnosed Gabiru's injuries, and he was absolutely right. With Damrata's spiritual penetrator, it was an explosive type of force, a wave of concentrated fighting force that destroyed an enemy from the inside.
Keep your mind out of the gutter, Moon.
It was the ultimate form of Oboro Shinrei Mei Ryu, or Battle Will, as it would be called here. Okay. And it functioned as a sword honed for dispelling evil. Hold on, one sip.
I got a whole cake right here.
Good. Ooh. Very good.
I ate the bakery.
Good. No! That was why no healing potion that worked using magicals could handle its wounds. But Zonda could heal them. Skillfully manipulating the magicals, he would adjust them to soothe the disturbed spiritual force, neutralizing the fighting force Marco implanted inside and restoring the normal flow of spirit within Gabiru's body. Gabiru, too, wasn't just lying there and waiting to recover. He intensely hoped for greater healing power than before, and that wish was about to manifest a new ability within him. And yet, even in his most unpredictable situations, Marco did something even more unexpected. He stood up straight, going out of his fighting stance. Well, great. I'm out of time. I received the order to return, so I suppose we'll have to save this for another time. Or for next time. As soon as Marco made that statement, he teleported himself out of there before awaiting a reply. Somehow, Gabiru and his crew found a way to survive. Vaughn was struggling against Footman, or perhaps struggling was too polite a way to put it. He was enlightened himself and confident enough in his powers, but Footman had a magical count large enough to easily overwhelm him. Vaughn might have had a legend-class suit of armor and warlance, which no doubt contributed to the bottom line for him, but his foe still seemed so distressingly out of reach. The only reason why he was still in this fight was because Footman had lost all rational thought. That, and Phobio's contribution, was a big part of it. Phobio, the Black Leopard Fang, is here to help. At first, Vaughn was suspicious of the man who burst in shouting that, but then he remembered who he really was. The Black Leopard Fang. Ah, yes, one of the Demon Lord Carrion's 3 Beastketeers. That's right. Carrion has surrendered to the Demon Lord Milim, and Milim herself has formed an alliance with Demon Lord, or with Lord Rimuru. He was not an enemy, in other words, and so Vaughn welcomed the assistance. Glad to see you. I was thinking it'd be tough to go on much longer on my own. I'll bet. Honestly, I wasn't too sure about my chances solo either. Fulvio had reflected on his own attitude, regretting some of his past mistakes, and now he was calmly evaluating his abilities. Thus, he instinctively realized that even if he went all out and animalized himself at full force, he still couldn't beat Footman. So he put aside his pride and opted to fight together with Vaughn. Footman was powerful, but because he was no longer capable of logical thought, his attacks were striking a monotonous note. It was still enough to gravely wound Vaughn and Fulvio, but they were managing to stay on their feet. They couldn't hope for victory like this, but the word retreat wasn't in their vocabulary. Their friends, after all, were fighting to the death right next to them. Tyr, the other clown, was engaged with Henrietta, Knight Assassin of Dorgan, with Gobwa and her troops pitching in. They were a small group of elites attempting to capture Tyr all by herself, but something was rather strange with her. I'm really sorry about this, okay? I don't like this very much either, but it's an order. I'm trying my best not to kill anyone, so try and do something to stop me, alright? Her fighting was as lethal as ever, but she sounded very earnest about that. In fact, despite receiving her orders to fight from Kagali, Tyr still retained her own free will. She couldn't defy the order, but she understood that Kagali was manipulating her mind. She was an unwilling participant, in other words, and she wasn't volunteering to be here at all. That was why she was trying not to exercise her full force, joining the fight, following the orders to the letter, but still giving Henrietta and the rest the chance to stop her. In response, Henrietta was attempting a capture operation, but despite Tyr trying to go easy, the difference in strength was still too great to overcome, and they had achieved little so far. And sorry to you too, okay? I know I took advantage of you before, but I'm not trying to trick you this time. Having Tyr addressed him, enraged Fulvio. He and Vaughn realized from an early point that Footman's reason had left him because Tyr wanted to keep anyone from dying. They hadn't noticed when they first met, but Footman was emitting the same kind of atmosphere as Carrion, somebody Phobio respected greatly, and thus he knew he'd never win in a proper fight. So Phobio, for his part, was thankful to Tyr for that, but shut up! Quit reminding me of my darker hours. You don't need to spell it out. I'm glad you put him in berserker mode for me. Right? You guys are so weak. If Footman was serious about this, he'd be dead by now. Tyr sounded so innocent as she lashed back at Phobio. She didn't mean any malice by it. She believed every word of it. That's what made Phobio so angry about it. Right now, complaining was about all he could do. Impudent little brat. Oh, quiet down, you. Work harder for us, then. Be a little more lenient. All he and Vaughn could do right now was just sigh and say in so many words, we'll get back at you later. Things remained tough all around.
We will deal with you later, good sir. We have our own thing to deal with.
Yeah.
Not right now. It's more important. Gobo, for her part, was trying to find a breakthrough and help out any allies who needed her assistance. That was what made her decide this was the best place to go, but things were never going to be easy. Tyr had no interest in fighting, but she couldn't disobey orders. Gobo assumed that meant she'd be easy to capture, and she wasn't wrong to think that. The only reason it wasn't going well was because Tyr and Footman were just too strong. The latter could easily break through their metal nets. Nothing half-hearted worked against him, and knocking him unconscious seemed beyond impossible. It took two strong men in Vaughn and Phobio to simply keep him in place. Meanwhile, Henrietta considered herself a speedy fighter, but not even she could keep up with Tyr, and Gobo couldn't lay a finger on her. She tried casting her net on her, but it seemed unlikely they'd ever capture her alive. Soka and her team might have fared better, but they were too busy fighting Marco. With all that in mind, things were progressively worsening across the field. Gobo was receiving updates from Moss about their situation. Moss! He reported that Veyron and Zonda had set off to bail Galbiru out. Things were back to a stalemate, but given the hazards they dealt with, this was little to no comfort. And worst of all was Kondo.
I'm sorry. I want to make a drinking game where every time we get to Moss and we say Moss, we take a sip.
No.
We can do that.
No, we can't. Not this
water.
volume.
We can't.
Oh, water.
Okay.
Water's fine.
Yeah.
Alcohol,
Yeah.
no. We will die
say
this
with water.
volume.
Yeah, we would fucking
Seriously?
perish.
Alcohol
Yeah.
poisoning is a
bad.
real thing.
Yeah, this would be bad.
Oh, that's great.
I don't know if I have enough water for that, but
Also,
I'll try.
guys, I know this is wrong, but we're gonna stay on a little extra long tonight.
Okay,
Here's
I'll try.
why. Once you get to 65, the dot on 65, Moon's taking over for you. Here's why.
Okay.
I remembered next week we're not reading.
Oh yeah, that's right. We're doing video games.
Yeah, next week we're
Oh,
gaming.
right.
Next week we're gaming.
That's
So
right.
do
we're
you
changing
guys
the
really-
a little bit.
Do you guys really want to start off February with having to read more of this chapter?
I mean,
I don't know how much we have left, but we'll keep going. We'll try.
We have almost a
Look,
third.
I'm
of
going
the
to
even if
chapter
try.
Jim
left.
has to leave,
Here's
I will
the thing.
gladly try
Here's
to
the
finish
thing.
this bitch.
We have literally 1 hour of the chapter left, and that's it.
Okay.
Okay.
So if we came back next week, we would be reading 2 chapters, and that'd be really stupid. Yeah.
That'd be long, but
It
we'll
would
try.
be-
I
yeah.
will try.
Well, I mean, you're good. You're almost to the end of what I can have you reading. So
Cool. Because if I have to, I'll leave, but
Yeah.
I'll hold out as long as I can.
hold out as
because
long as you can. And then
you've
it's all
you've
I'll try.
already read almost 2/3 of this chapter, bro. You're good.
We're still going.
The problem is the
strong.
goof troop stuff. We got distracted by
We derailed
goof
it a little
troops.
bit.
We derailed with goof troop stuff for over 20 minutes, and that killed a whole shit ton of this. Otherwise, we probably would have passed 2/3 and been in the 70s or 80s by now. Almost done.
Yeah,
with
maybe.
this. Yeah. So,
yeah.
All right.
It's okay.
But yeah, guys, come back next week. We're gonna be playing Raft.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either
we're gonna be stranded.
We're gonna be
Granblue
playing.
Fantasy
Yeah, we're
Rising.
definitely gonna be playing Raft. Once we get finished with Raft, we'll probably find another game to play. But yeah, the last week
Finished
of
with
each month.
Wrath.
The last week of each month, we're gonna play a game, just so we can have a break from everything. But we've got 2 books right now left to read for Slime before we quote unquote catch up. Guys, we're not doing sound alerts. Sorry.
I don't even know what we play after Raft. No,
I do.
say that.
I know what we can play after Raft.
Minecraft. It's
No.
Minecraft.
Well, we could. We do have a Minecraft
Yeah.
server. Raft. Then
Yeah,
yeah, that was what I was going to recommend
Yeah, that's
next,
too
Revan.
easy.
Sons of the Forest.
Sons of the Forest.
Sons
I don't know
of
what
I
that
actually
is.
have that one.
Oh.
I've seen people play it.
We have that one. I know Moon and I both have that one. Revan has that one. Like, we will make I will make a server for us to play Sons of the Forest on. Yeah.
Sons of the Forest.
That has a campaign
Either
and an
that, or
end
we
game?
could do what's that game?
Grand Blue
has-
Fantasy Rising.
Raft has a campaign and an end game. Yeah.
No, I meant like the Sons of the Forest.
Yes, that does too. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
And you can stay there and keep going after the end game happens too. Anyway, actually, Sons of the Forest is about to hit full release, so it's better to get it now while it's still in pre-release because it's cheaper.
Will it actually let you have the full game after it's out?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Worst of all, get it before the end of next month because the end of next month is when it goes into full release.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, and sometime I think maybe this year
Zelda,
Phasmo's
yeah,
going to go into full release. So probably around Halloween we'll do some spoopy games. Maybe we'll try a bunch.
That's
of
a long
games.
way off.
Sorry. Anyway,
That's okay.
Back to the read. Sorry.
Yeah. All good.
I'll be right back.
Worst of all was Kondo. Hakuro was defeated, and even King Gazo had met his match. Gobo heard that Agura and Esprit were on their way to him, but she doubted they could slow Kondo down one bit. If worse come to worse, Moss told her, I'll go all out.
Moss.
Or I'll go out. Yeah. Moss. His role was to assess the war situation on behalf of Benimaru, with Gobo formulating a strategy based on his findings. Even now, her hands full dealing with Tyr, Gobo was still giving a continual stream of instructions, and it was only possible thanks to Moss's support. If he was forced to join the fray as well, the entire front line would collapse in a hurry. Wait a moment, please.
See,
if worse come to...
that's like 3 in 1 page, bro. And later, it just entirely focuses on the demons.
Yeah.
We'll die.
It's going to be fucked up.
It's
going to be fucked up. It's going to be fucked up.
All right.
If he was forced to join... Oh, wait. Wait a moment, please. If worse comes to worse, I'll ask you for that. But do you think you could even do anything? I'll do my best. Not even Moss could win then. The thought depressed Gobwa. Moss was a very confident man, one who treated everyone except for a very few, Testarossa chief among them, with supreme arrogance. Now even he was giving vague assurances at best. It only proved how dangerous a foe Kondo was. The lieutenant was difficult to stop. Gabrius wasn't back on the front lines yet. Gobwa's team was a long way from capturing Tyr and footmen. All this made it impossible to disrupt Kagali's ritual. Ghidorah was there, but he was busy waging a war of words against Velgrind. If she decided to enter the fray, the moment was spelled defeat for them all. It couldn't be much worse. Now we know how much we've been relying on Sir Rimuru and Sir Benimaru this whole time. Gobo had her regrets, but realizing that now wouldn't help matters. That was why she couldn't afford to give up. It's not over yet. The fact that Lady Velgrind hasn't acted yet proves that the demons are giving their best effort against her. The difference in strength must be massive, but they're still holding out for us. I'd never allow us to give up the fight before them. She recalled those proud, lofty demonesses. They hated to lose, and even though they were relatively new to Tempest, they had already been appointed to the 12 lordly guardians, among the highest in their government. Their strength was beyond Gobo's imagination, but when Velgrind was the opponent, the despair was palpable. The mere fact they were still fighting against her was amazing in itself. We can't lose to them, Gobo thought, firing herself up further. She resumed her attempted capture of Tyr.
All right. It is now your turn, Moon.
A man stood before Kondo, Agura. Agura, dressed casually like a samurai. Go ahead, Agura. I won't get in your way. Esprit bowed out, focused on healing Gazel and Hakuro. Agura just shook his head at her. Esprit was always this way, always carrying... I put the wrong voice for that then.
That's okay.
Esprit was always this way, always carrying on. Yeah, trying to swoop in to grab the kudos when she could. It was clear she was running from battle because she saw no way to beat Kondo, the quintessential demon, one could say. So Agura paid her no further mind and pointed his sword at Kondo. I need to adjust. Okay. I can't relax if I'm reading. For 300 years, no one had defeated him in battle. He knew Kondo defeated the great swordsmen Hakuro and Gazel, and the thought made his blood boil. You were Kondo. Your skill makes me sigh in admiration. I too live by the way of the sword. and I would be delighted to compete against you. In a no-holds-barred match, Agura knew he couldn't beat Kondo. Hakuro only managed to land a few choice blows because Kondo kept their battle strictly to sword fighting. Otherwise, even if Gazelle and Hakuro took him on at once, they'd be quickly dispatched, with Kondo not even taking a scratch. That was why he was making this proposal, as desperate as it seemed, but Agura was convinced Kondo would agree to it. That's because he sensed something oddly nostalgic in his swordsmanship. Lord Agura, so you've mastered the sword after all. Hakuro interrupted. Oh, okay. Lord Agura, so you've mastered the sword after all. That was Hakuro. Yeah.
I know, but
Hakuro interrupted before Kondo could answer.
I was saying that was an appropriate voice for Hakuro too.
What? Oh. I mean, I think if Hakuro is older, so I try to give him a little more gravel.
Yeah, but here's the thing: naming him de-aged him.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
So
I mean,
he's
still
not
old.
as
True.
not as old. Yeah, but he went from like you're like, oh, he's still old, and I'm like, yeah, but he went from 70 to 50. There's a difference.
There is a difference. Okay, that's fair. I didn't think about that.
He's not. He's well.
Yeah, it's not going
He
that
still has
far,
the
is it?
mentality of a 70-year-old, but he's physically 50. And bro,
Okay.
George Clooney was 50 when they did Ocean's 11.
Ocean's 12.
I've never seen
yeah.
Ocean's 11, so...
I can't with you right now. We'll fix that later.
We will deal with you after stream.
We will deal with you later at a juncture.
Yes.
Anyway.
We will deal with you next week.
No. Next week is Raft. We can't do that.
Raft.
Anyway.
Maybe. I don't know.
What do you mean, after all? Well, you do seem to resemble someone I know, you see. Hakuro stammered a bit as Agura looked quizzically at him. In fact, Hakuro's grandfather and Agura were practically the spitting images of each other. It wasn't just a matter of their faces. They had the same physique, the same atmosphere, and the same inscrutable mannerisms. Do I? Well, unfortunately, I do not think we have met before. I have no memory of meeting you since I was born into this world 300 years ago, and I cannot say I've mastered the sword at all. I have merely resolved to fight with this blade for all of my life. Agura gave him a calm smile. To him, the sword was everything. I see. Please don't mind me then. Hakuro waved him off, stifling the assorted thoughts floating through his head. He had a suspicion Agura was the reincarnation of his grandfather, but he had no solid proof. And if Agura was Byakuya Araki, it was nothing Kondo needed to care about. Hakuro had never beaten his grandfather, but he was still just a human being. No matter what the answer to the riddle was, it wouldn't help turn the tables on this fight. The only way to win was to defeat Kondo through sheer ability. This other person, Lord Hakuro. Yes, it was... this other person, Lord Hakuro. Yes, it was my grandfather. Hakuro whispered the answer to Gabiru's grown question. Can we have names before lines, please?
No, that's not how this person... That's not how Fuse writes. Get used to it. We're on volume 15, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Spirit bomb, sorry.
By the way, Esprit chimed in, did your grandfather die 300 years ago, Hakuro? Indeed he did. Then maybe it's possible, I think. He was born as a demon looking just like that, and he was even carrying a sword from the get-go. Lady Carrera has a knack for attracting souls gifted in the martial arts, too. Yeah. If there was some sort of connection, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I see. Well, if that's the case, would he perhaps know some secret arts that not even you do, Sir I see. Well, if that's the case, would he perhaps know some secret arts that not even you do, Sir Hakuro? I'm not sure. I never fully mastered it myself, but among the techniques he showed me, he said that the multi-layered Blossom Flash was the best. Now they were striking up a conversation. Hakuro and his cohorts had already done their best, and it wasn't good enough. So they sat back, ready to watch how this turned out. And even though he knew this wasn't the time for it, Hakuro was curious about Agera's true identity. And Gazelle, too, was curious about Hakuro's long-lost mentor. Esprit, meanwhile, was healing both of them. Her "I'm working" dedication to her job was impressive. Even Agera had to take his hat off to her. But Agera had other concerns. Kondo wasn't disturbing their conversation at all, looking fully relaxed as he observed Agera. His job was to eliminate anyone who tried to interfere with Kagali's ritual. He had already picked out the most useful-looking enemies, and he had no intention of killing everybody on the scene. So he decided to attend to Agera, not letting himself panic. He only took serious measures against Gazelle because leaving him unattended would have been too dangerous. If a saint equivalent to him had been granted techniques from Hakuro, there was no absolute guarantee he could win. Kondo's job, as a result, was to prioritize winning. In other words, do his job. Against a clearly inferior opponent like Agera, he didn't mind playing around a little bit. But this was quite an unusual decision for him to make. He was a rationalist, always devoted to doing the job, and he hated wasting effort on unimportant things. His only weakness in that respect was his pride in the school of swordsmanship he studied under. Look at me. Still too naive to let go of my personal feelings. But despite his misgivings, his curiosity still won out. All right, I'll play along. He was just about to say it, but he wasn't foolish enough not to keep an eye on his surroundings. Thus, out of the corner of his eye, he saw Velgrin go on the move. Kagali's forbidden curse, Dead Birthday, was still in progress, but it looked like events were moving along now. Kondo would have to go on the move as well, whether he wanted to or not. Sorry, I want to take you on, but my work comes first. He put away his military sword as he gave Agera the news. He couldn't have been looking down upon the demon more, but even though he knew that, Agera could do nothing to stop him. And as he watched Kondo stride away, he couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. I suppose, he muttered in frustration, I'll live to see another day after all. Ghidorah was expanding a mighty effort, fighting alone against Velgrind. Not that he was fighting at all, however. If he had been, he would have been smashed into pieces in a single blow. No matter how wondrous and state-of-the-art his demon colossus was, he knew his place, and he wasn't about to try anything so foolish. Instead, he was letting his curiosity guide him as he questioned Velgrind. Not even I knew until now that the Marshal was Lady Velgrind, the Flame Dragon, Sir Veldora's elder sister. No wonder you're such a beauty. That was where his praise of her began. He kept up the flattery, attracting her attention and leading her into further conversation. I'm sure you didn't know. I've only started to show my face around you recently. She decided to respond to it, and that was bad luck for her, because now she had to keep up her part of the conversation for as long as Ghidorah willed it. This was the best way he knew to buy time for his side and plainly it was working brilliantly, because Ghidorah was still alive. Velgrind, however, had her own agenda. I see. So you've been supporting His Majesty, the Emperor, the whole time up to now, playing the role of so many marshals across so many generations. I, Ghidorah, could not possibly be more impressed. Yes, well, I'd occasionally go a few centuries without speaking in public, you know. I wouldn't exactly call it anything as difficult as that. Velgrind was politely holding up her part of the chat, but even she was showing signs of fatigue. This barrage of questions was starting to get on her nerves, and that was why she began to unintentionally complain a bit. But you know, you really are shameless, aren't you? I've been allowing you to pester me with questions because Ludora likes you a lot, but I wasn't expecting quite this many. Aha. How delighted I am to hear the compliment. It wasn't a compliment. Velgrind looked all but disgusted. For her, crushing Ghidorah would be an easy task. She already had 4 separate bodies active, and she hesitated to break out another one just for Ghidorah's sake. As long as he didn't mess around with the ritual, she was more or less all right with all this banter. Even as Velgrind wondered if she was making a mistake, Ghidorah was still peppering her with a bunch of lively questions. By the way, I was wondering, why did Lord Damrata stop me from informing His Majesty of what I knew? If he had an accurate picture of Rimur's forces, the Imperial army would have suffered far less damage. So, as you've probably realized by now, we don't really care about the Imperial army. We just wanted a war we could use to awaken the stronger among us. Still, though, don't you think it would have been better off if I could have discussed it with him? You're not going to drop the topic, huh? I'm sure you see it as Damrata betraying you, but he had his own reasons, you know. I see. These reasons, would they have something to do with the child Masayuki? I don't know. Why would I need to know what Damrata was up to? And who's Masayuki? Huh? Velgrin's reaction puzzled Ghidorah. He'd expected Masayuki to be the key to all of this. You're not aware of Masayuki the hero? He fearfully asked. I told you I wasn't, came the immediate reply. What, is he strong or something? If this was a yes-no question, no was absolutely the answer. Ghidorah didn't dislike Masayuki. He kind of enjoyed his spunk, in fact. But he knew there was no way you could ever describe him as strong. Velgrin snickered at his response. Well, Kondo, you know, he's only interested in people who's likely to awaken. Besides, if he's going around styling himself as a hero, perhaps Ludora assumed the Demon Lords would take care of him soon enough anyway. This sounded valid to Ghidorah. Yuki was using Masayuki to gauge the Demon Lord Rimur's reaction, upon Damrata's advice, no doubt. That meant the upper echelons of the Empire must have known all about Masayuki, and yet Velgrin claimed to have no knowledge of him. Yes, it was certainly plausible that they ignored him because of his obvious wimpiness. Kondo, at least, would immediately judge Masayuki as worthless to him. He was always eager to nip any uncertainty in the bud before it posed a problem, and if Masayuki was really a dead ringer for Emperor Ludora, it wouldn't be surprising that he'd try to get rid of him. That much is understandable, but what about Damrata's moves, then? But Sir Damrata had assigned 2 single digits to protecting young Masayuki, you know. So we could infiltrate the land of monsters, I presume? No. Well, yes, but Ghidorah faltered, feeling a bit frustrated. This sounded reasonable to him, but at the same time, something didn't seem quite right. Despite betraying the Empire, he was letting himself be troubled by things that shouldn't have bothered him. He wanted to yell at Velgrin, to treat his questions more seriously. You seem dissatisfied with that answer. Oh, no, absolutely not. He tried desperately assuaging her, wondering how she could see into his state of mind when she couldn't even see his face. Then he realized exactly why something seemed off with what Velgrin was saying. Sir Damrata truly is a traitor, isn't he? The words just fell out of his mouth. Oh, don't be silly. You're the traitor here. She had a point, but Ghidorah was undaunted. Willing himself to be even more shameless than before, he spoke to Velgrin some more. Well, let me ask you a question. This boy Masayuki looks exactly like His Majesty the Emperor. What do you think about that? It was that piece of information that made him uncomfortable. Whatever.
That made her uncomfortable.
It was natural for the Empire to care a lot about whether someone was strong or weak. Do what?
Made her uncomfortable, but yeah, I think that's what's happening. Anyway.
It says him on mine.
I know what it says. I know what it says, but I'm willing to bet it's her. Just based on my knowledge of what's actually happening.
Oh, foreshadowing.
No, not foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Present shadowing. Present shadowing.
Oh no.
Lore drops.
No.
Oh no.
No, this is present shadowing. Keep reading.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Yeah.
But you couldn't talk about Masayuki at all without mentioning that he looked like Emperor Ludora, their leader. Kondo might have known about this, although Bernie and Jiwoo probably didn't. Damrata, Ludora's friend, definitely did. So why would he want them protecting Masayuki? That was what made Ghidorah wonder. Pardon me?
See?
That is to say, the way Emperor Ludora and Masayuki look exactly alike, why wasn't that information relayed to relayed to, Ghidorah stopped mid-question, face turning pale. The expression on Velgrin's face made him quake in his boots. Now he regretted speaking out of turn so much. Oh, I might be dead. But Velgrin just ignored him and began thinking things over. It was hard to believe Kondo didn't know this piece of information. But if so, why didn't he tell her or anyone else about it? And Damrata was even worse. She had no idea what he was thinking, and Ghidorah's question could no longer be ignored. Let me get some water. And for that matter, just how physically alike were the two? Exactly like Ludora, I'll have to see for myself sometime. Everything had been going to plan, she thought, except for that slight miscalculation where the entire Imperial army got annihilated. But somehow, this seemingly inconsequential piece of information was getting under her skin. Well, Ghidorah, thank you for the useful tip. I'll be willing to let you off the hook in exchange, but what do you think? Are you still going to challenge me with that toy? Pardon. And again. Velgrin had no intention of killing Ghidorah that day. Despite it all, he was one of the few friends of Ludora who he really trusted. And while he had undeniably betrayed the Empire, she didn't feel he had ever betrayed Ludora. To Velgrin, the Empire itself didn't mean very much, and thus Ghidorah's betrayal was perfectly acceptable. This Ghidorah understood was where she differed from a lot of people, and even he had trouble wrapping his mind around it. So he decided that he had no choice but to accept Velgrin's proposal. He was buying time with this banter because he knew he couldn't win anyway. If an actual battle ever broke out, that'd be the end of the operation right there. Ghidorah, in essence, wouldn't last even 1 second against her. Oh, no need to joke with me. I know perfectly well that I am no match for you. He hid his qualms in laughter, deciding that a defiant tone was important here. The answer might have been disguised as a denial, but it was neither a yes or a no. That was left to his conversation partner to decipher. And no one from Rimaru's camp could accuse him of desertion afterward either. It was the perfect move, Ghidorah's wit at its sharpest. Velgrin could see through all of that slyness, but she still thought it was pretty entertaining of him. With a sigh, she muttered, "That's so like you, Ghidorah," and opted to let him go. Besides, luckily for Ghidorah, the situation had changed. The alternate Velgrin, who was fighting Veldora, had gone into all-out warfare, so her attention was needed elsewhere. Oh no? Well, if you ever feel like it, let me know. I'll be happy to take it on. But before that, do your best to survive this war, all right? Huh? I have some business. Oh wait, no, that's reversed.
Oh, that's
it's reversed.
Yeah.
Oh well. I have some business to attend to, so I'm going to leave this area to another pawn of mine. I don't think the military ever liked you very much, but best of luck becoming a saint while you're here, okay? What do you mean? Ignoring Ghidorah's attempt at a question, Velgrin floated into the air. Having to interrupt her magic flow here would cause serious delays to the ritual, but that much was unavoidable. Ghidorah, helplessly left behind, was stunned as he looked up at her. This change of tide bewildered him. He had no idea what to do next. In any battlefield, you couldn't afford to relax for a single moment. And as if to prove the point, the meaning of Velgrin's words became clear before Ghidorah had an answer. Dimensional connection. The scene was so far removed from reality, it boggled Ghidorah's mind. As soon as the levitating Velgrin shouted it, the space around him contorted and warped, and from the hole in the air, a vast number of airships coursed out. Is that the fleet of airships carrying the magical beast division? No, you don't mean that you've connected space itself. That's impossible. Do you have any idea how far away they were? Wait, no, that's not even the issue. Ghidorah was thoroughly confused. It was that hard to believe just what was happening before his eyes. Ignoring all laws of time and space, the airship fleet was meant to attack Inglacia from the north. The The airship fleet that was meant to attack Inglacia from the north was now summoned over here. Rimuru estimated that they were at least 3 days away, and Ghidorah knew they couldn't possibly have been summoned. Magical teleportation was fraught with danger. Any failure could kill hundreds of soldiers, and preventing that required complex incantations and mountains of magic force. With Sir Rimuru, it could be possible, couldn't it? But if you're summoning someone in a different location from yourself, the difficulty level jumps up by orders of magnitude. It's simply impossible to do such a thing. It transcended the bounds of all common sense. Ghidorah was absolutely correct, but he had great difficulty accepting it as reality. Bless you. Am I still going?
Sorry.
Ugh.
Where are we at? If Ghidorah was flummoxed, is that where we're
If
at?
Ghidorah was flummoxed.
Okay, that puts it to 74. We got to make it to 97 tonight. Oh boy. Shit. All right. I'll do my best. If Ghidorah was flummoxed by what they saw, the other side of the equation was even more confused. The airship fleet advancing toward northern Inglacia was enjoying an elegant journey in the air. The sky, unlike the dangerous sea route, was perfectly safe. Very few monsters could reach their high altitude, although there were still some. This was a fleet of some 300 airships, and they were commanded by their leader, Major General Zamdo. His mission was to transport Imperial troops, the 30,000-strong Magical Beast Division commanded by Gradim, toward the central continent. They wouldn't be fighting themselves, so they couldn't ask for an easier mission. But in the flagship, Zamdo was boarding a measure more luxurious than the other ships. One section was enveloped in an eerie atmosphere. Zamdo had been informed that a very important official would be inspecting the ship, but nobody told him who this person was. The news came quite suddenly, to the point that Commander Caligulio might not have known either. Still, Zamdo was unconcerned. Better to be left in the dark. Excessive prying will do little but shorten your life. So he went about his duties, managing to keep himself fully relaxed. But then he received an urgent message. "Excuse me, sir!" A communications officer tore onto the bridge, an ominous look on his face. The fact that he had personally reported here instead of sending a soldier over indicated this was something important. "What is it? A message from the homeland?" They had already received word that Caligulio had been handed a painful defeat. Most of the ground forces were already lost, but that wasn't any of Zamdo's business. Once an operation was underway, nothing would stop it unless he was ordered to halt. The battle was just days away, and it wasn't like panicking would allow Zamdo to call anything off. To tell the truth, however, Zamdo was internally hoping for a stop-down order to come at once. He hadn't told any soldiers about the ground losses, but if word got out, it could gravely affect morale and the success rate of their operation. Better to pull back and start over than take that risk, he thought. But since some would take that as a sign of weakness, Zamdo couldn't make that call on his own. Gradim, commander of the forces they were transporting, wasn't the type of person Zamdo was good at dealing with. That's why Zamdo was hoping against hope that this was a stop-down order. Instead, it was nothing like he ever imagined. The Marshal is coming! What? Zamdo shouted back, in no small part because he didn't even know the Marshal was on board. So that's the VIP I was told about? Ridiculous! Is this operation truly that important? It was important, yes, but it was just one of the Empire's 3 major military divisions on the move. There shouldn't be any need for the Marshal to be involved. But enough about that. He had to figure out how to greet this guest. "All rise to welcome the Marshal!" Sorry. Zamdo, regaining his composure, quickly shouted out the order. A pulse of tension coursed across the bridge. Everyone stood upright to give a salute, and then the door opened to reveal Velgrind, one of the world's most stunning beauties. Everyone on the bridge was immediately astounded. The marshal, this figure none of them had ever laid eyes upon before, was standing right in front of them. But before this fact even registered in their minds, Valgren's beauty mesmerized them. But she took that for granted. "Don't just stand there, you silly people. Get back to work." Her voice was gentle. She knew she had to be careful. Valgren was a rational woman, and she knew that resorting to any kind of violence here could destroy the flagship in an instant. Emperor Ludora, his main, non-separate body, was aboard the airship as well, and she needed to take that into consideration. It was a stroke of luck that for everyone around here. "Be seated! All hands! Back to work!" Zamdo's orders set the officers back to their duties. The elegant pleasure cruise was over. From that point on, Zamdo was in for a series of surprises. "It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Your Excellency. My name is Zamdo, and I am proud to serve you." "Oh, well, hopefully you'll survive this then. It would be a great honor. I will do my best to live up to your words." "Yes, I'd like to give you a pep talk, but I'm short on time. Let's get down to business." Valgren sat down on the captain's seat, paying no attention to Zamdo's brown-nosing. She promptly gave an order to Zamdo, who hurriedly got to his feet. "Sorry, I can't help it." She said the phrase. I have to finish it up. "To defeat the Huns." Okay, there we go.
The Huns.
Got it out of my system. "Call Commander Gradam in here. I don't want to have to keep explaining matters over and over." "Right away." Zamdo glanced at an officer. He immediately set up a visual link to the ship Gradam was aboard. Within a few minutes, Gradam was on the display. "Heavens! You are even more beautiful than I thought." At the first sight of Valgren, Gradam thought that she looked remarkably easy to handle in a fight, so he couldn't help but wonder, why? Why is a woman like this said to be stronger than I am? Her body was supple and soft, no excess fat or muscle at all. Strength was not the kind of aura she emitted. Some people, he thought, were of the belief that magical power and fighting spirit were the most important things, but you still needed a strong body to leverage that to its full extent. A strong body like mine, he thought, proud of himself. That's why Valgren looked so weak to him, the textbook jock attitude. Valgren, meanwhile, had little interest in thinking deeply about Gradam. His strength, at least, was the real thing, and she wanted to use him to the fullest as a helpful pawn. "I don't need your flattery," she stated as she began laying out orders, her attitude fully demonstrating her lack of interest in him. "As of this moment, our current operation is cancelled. Your new mission is to take control of the armored nation of Dworgen. That is all. Any questions?" Finally, both Zamdo and Gradam thought at once. The fact that the order had been delayed so long indicated that, as expected, their nation was facing unprecedented turmoil back home. If they suffered a major defeat, they'd have to quickly review their strategy. This was a simultaneous three-front operation, so every decision they made would take on great significance. A single failure would bring the whole thing crashing down. However, after several days had passed, and with the kingdom of Inglacia lying just beyond, they now had orders to stop. It was only natural that the two men would be dismayed. "Very well. In that case, let's return at maximum battle speed." "If it is your command, I, Gradam, will risk my life to undertake it. But do be aware that I will be asking questions later about this operation's failure, as well as the delay in your new orders." Zamdo was clearly nervous. Gradam was just arrogant. Being on another vessel, he couldn't pick up on Valgren's sheer supremacy through the screen. His response put Zamdo on edge. "Don't drag me into this," he thought, but Valgren didn't care. "It seems that you are suffering from the misconception," she said, smiling. "A misconception? What do you mean by that?" "You think you're blameless here?" Valgren nodded. "First of all, Zamdo, I will take you from here to your destination. Once we're there, I'll explain what to do, so be ready. Pardon? Next, Gradam. There was no failure in this operation. In fact, this is exactly what we've been planning to do from the beginning." "Don't be stupid! You think you can escape responsibility like that? This late in the game? Stupid, you say. Velgrin stared at Gradam with narrowed eyes, displeased. What a pain, she thought. She wondered for a moment what to do about it, but concluded that it would be better to let sleeping dogs lie. Gradam was certainly strong, but from her point of view, he was not an enemy. He could easily be crushed, but it'd be a waste to do so, and most of all, there was no time to lose. It was a tremendous stroke of luck for Gradam. Well, whatever. If you survive, we can discuss this matter later. What are you... Let me talk, please. Right now, I'm going to perform a dimensional connection, so prepare to move quickly once I'm done. After that, I will need to concentrate on Veldora. I'm glad to see that boy's grown to be better than I thought, but handling him is going to be a bit tricky, so I want to have all of you focus on dominating the battlefield on my behalf. I've identified several promising people among the enemy, and I want them captured alive if all possible. Am I clear? Ignoring Gradam, who was about to raise another protest, Velgrin got straight down to business. Once she had her say, she turned her back on them, then placed her hand on the reinforced door leading to the outer deck of the airship. Your Excellency! What are you doing? It's dangerous! Please come back here! What? I just explained to you. If I don't go outside, I can't perform the dimensional connection. Giving Zomdo a glance that indicated just how stupid she thought he was, she opened the door without hesitation. Then she flew into the sky. Of all the selfish things, what just collateral damage to her? Zomdo was horrified. Opening that bulkhead while flying at high altitude and speed was unbelievably dangerous. If not done properly, the difference in atmospheric pressure would suck out everyone on the ship. The ship's crew were enhanced soldiers who had all undergone extensive surgery to strengthen themselves, but Zomdo, as a scientist, was just an ordinary man. The low outdoor temperature would weaken him, and the lack of oxygen would even kill him. The same was also true for the magic conjurers under his command. Thus, he was in a hurry to close the door as soon as possible, but his fears were unfounded. Velgrin had cast Dominate Space to prevent any impact on the airship. But before Zomdo could demonstrate any surprise, an even greater shock had struck him and all of his staff. With a snap of the fingers, Velgrin floated into the sky, and the next moment, dimensional connection! A huge distortion in space appeared in front of her. No. I can't believe it. Spatial oscillation detected. It seems that our local space-time continuum is being affected by a gigantic, powerful fluctuation of magicules. It can't be. Was that the work of the Marshal? It truly was ridiculous. After all, this was a phenomenon beyond all human imagination and knowledge. No one could understand what was happening, and no one would ever be able to pull that off themselves. So they all tried to ignore the reality before them, but then Zomdo realized. That boy? The Marshal referred to Veldora as that boy. There were only a few entities he knew of who could get away with calling him that. No. Could this woman really be? The guardian dragon of the Empire, a presence too awe-inspiring to even mention by name. Zomdo had thought that the Empire was blessed with her protection, but now he realized that was not the case. As if to confirm the thought, Velgrin's smile deepened as she floated in the sky. Now, go. Go and make yourselves useful to me. Her voice was unyielding. Zomdo and even Gradam, lured by the sound of her sweet voice, turned the bows of their airships toward the rift in space. All right, we're on page 80. We've got 17 pages to go. Shem,
Yes.
take us through to the next dot.
All right. Velgrin's actions causes... Yeah.
The next dot is literally 2 pages away. God damn it.
Okay. Okay. I'll still go, though. I'll do my best.
Go for it.
Velgrin's actions cause a sea change in the war situation, a change felt by the 3 demonesses still keeping up their fierce fight. Velgrin, in her full fury, was a force to be reckoned with. She was flawless in battle. With her overwhelming strength, she shamelessly toyed with Testarossa and the others, not even allowing them to touch her. She never went off guard, and she never held back. Even a basic magic-enhanced strike was incredibly powerful. She was attacking with all of her strength, trying to annihilate the three of them like a berserker with no sense of reason. Although she hadn't transformed into her dragon form, it was absolutely Velgren's full power, but the demonesses were still alive. If they had not been granted names of Rimuru, they would have long since lost their bodies, exiled back to the demon world. However, their skeletons of orichalc created by Rimuru had been made even stronger by the magical power of the primal girls. Thanks to that, they could withstand the violence of Velgren, if barely. What a surprise. I thought I would be done with you sooner. You're stronger than I imagined you'd be, and you're clearly used to close quarters combat. Velgren was being honest with them. She didn't expect them to take up so much of her time, even when she went full tilt at them. We'll never be defeated. Diablo would laugh at us if we ever tried something so disgraceful. That would be more humiliating than death. So true. He's so malicious. I'm sure Diablo would come back with something like, "You're one to talk," wouldn't he? And he wouldn't be wrong, either. They were down on the ground, battered and bruised, but the demoness's eyes were still full of life. Their expressions remained dauntless, sincere smiles on their faces. Their attitude was crystal clear. As long as they never admitted defeat, they'd never lose. Oh dear, this is so troublesome. Velgren couldn't help being puzzled at this, but the outcome was already set in stone. That pest Rimuru and his top officers were caught in the Phantom Fortress, and she had successfully dragged Veldora out from the labyrinth. All that remained was to seize control of him as planned. So she had been ignoring the three demonesses' banter, but the next thing Testarossa said made her wince. Well, it's taken a while, but I've figured out how parallel existence works. Their goal was not to defeat Velgren, but to stop her in her tracks. Those were the conditions for a tactical victory here, but Velgren's parallel existence subterfuge made that an impossible task. Hence why Testarossa was looking for a way to break it. Would you mind explaining it to me, then? Oh, by all means. Testarossa smiled graciously. Even though she was being beaten to a pulp, she still had her full dignity, something that impressed Velgren despite it all, so she decided to hear her out. As Testarossa explained, parallel existence wasn't all-powerful. It had its limits. Namely, she could produce only so many separate bodies at once, and if any of them were damaged, Velgren wouldn't emerge from that undamaged. To be exact, there would be no physical damage, but for spiritual life forms like us, draining our energy is de facto damage. In other words, our attack wasn't in vain then, Ultima concluded, taking the words out of Testarossa's mouth. She nodded back with a smile, but her eyes weren't smiling as she sized up Velgren. The true dragon sighed to herself. This is why I didn't want to deal with primals. Testarossa was right. In such short time, and while being hopelessly overrun in battle, she had correctly analyzed the situation. Even Velgren had to admit that she had an amazing sense for combat. Well done, Blanc, or Testarossa, I should say. You are right, and I commend you for it. Velgren wished she could recruit her. Killing Testarossa would be pointless anyway. She'd just be resurrected someday, and she was bound to take her murder personally once she was. That wouldn't be as bad as some demon lords Velgren could name, but having a primal bugging her all the time would be a hassle of the highest order. Carrera, unaware of Velgren's feelings, smiled wryly. Hee. You're far too composed, Lady Velgren. Lord Veldora would never pander to us like that. Velgren was now visibly annoyed. Pandering, as Carrera put it, meant looking down on your opponent and deliberately going easy on them. Veldora was well aware of just how dangerous Testarossa and her friends could be, so he made sure never to show them any weakness. It was vital if he wanted to keep his dignity. Nonetheless, Velgren was far from amused by Carrera's statement. She was being misunderstood, and she knew it. She had no reason to like that statement, and yet for some reason she found herself feeling a little happy about it. As Veldora's older sister, she was happy to see such a formerly troublesome child gaining some maturity. Perhaps that was why she no longer had any will to fight. It was about time anyway. After fighting Veldora, she realized that he was incomparably more powerful than before. If she didn't get serious, she was going to be in for a world of hurt. So between that and everything else, Velgren decided to stop fighting at this point. She decided she could have killed the demonesses in an instant if she put her mind to it, but she let them off the hook. You're right, she said. Just as you say, that boy's grown quite a bit. I'm quite happy for him. But you see, the problem is that I can't go easy on him. That's why I'll have to postpone this for now. Before the demonesses could react to this one-sided declaration, Velgren's separate body vanished before them. It happened in an instant. All they could do was watch. Should I continue?
Yeah.
Okay. The forest was in flames. Canceling the separate bodies she had deployed in various locations, Velgren united them all into one. With a dazzling crimson light, she transformed into her dragon form, clad in a cardinal aura of red and force. The shockwave alone made the trees burst into flames. Veldora, too, had reverted to dragon form, his force summoning a wildly raging tempest. The flames flickered as they illuminated the two siblings. The battle between true dragons was now in full swing. Velgren, too, back in her true form after a long hiatus, looked at Veldora. He, too, was showing off his massive physique, all but bragging about his vast amount of magical energy. It had been ages since the two siblings had seen each other in these forms. Valgrind had met Emperor Ludora a very long time ago. She was already lurking in Imperial circles by the time Veldora began rampaging across the land. She never left Ludora's side, never venturing out into the public eye. Because of that, and the inconveniences that entailed, she had learned how to replicate herself via a separate body. But even that was only after Veldora was sealed away. By Valgrind's estimation, the last time they met was over 2,000 years ago, in southwestern lands. At that encounter, she showed him only a hint of her powers, just toying with Veldora a bit, and he responded by immediately fleeing the scene. The impact, however, was enormous. The energy generated by this short clash between true dragons created an entire volcanic regions in the lands below them, and the ensuing volcanoes were said to be still active. The sealing hasn't weakened him after all. In fact, I'd say he's stronger than ever before. This, Valgrind thought, was truly a lucky miscalculation. Her brother's growth was a joy to see unfold. The way he was acting so disobedient around her was an issue, but if she could tame him, all would be well, and even if she failed, she had Ludora's power to fall back on. With Ludora's force, even a true dragon can be eating out of our hands. Just look at me, for instance. Wait, what am I thinking? Valgrind felt she was about to recall something very important, but her thoughts were a jumbled mess. She mentally turned the page. Capturing Veldora came first. Wow. She wanted to avoid relying on Ludora.
There's some foreshadowing.
I know, I was like, Yeah,
there's some foreshadowing that's going on that she hasn't quite picked up on. All right, there's some Volume 16 foreshadowing for your asses. All right.
Yep. She wanted to avoid relying on Ludora, but should it come to that, she wanted to neutralize as much of Veldora's resistance as she could to lighten his load. Ludora's at his limit, after all.
Load.
I know. I need to give him some rest, and soon. That was Valgrind's true intention, and that was why she really wanted to keep him uninvolved. There was no other reason. There didn't need to be any other reason. After all, she had a decent shot at victory. Veldora was boasting a huge pile of magicals, but he wasn't using them as well as he could have. That was why Valgrind didn't consider Veldora to be that dangerous. They performed brilliantly on their initial clash, but as Valgrind thought, she could defend herself because she had a better grip on her own powers. Great strength, after all, is useless if you can't control it. Once he joins us, I'll have to teach him a thing or two. Even now, Veldora would be a powerful card in the game they were playing, but Valgrind intended to train Veldora further, to the point where he could compete with Velzard. For the time being, however, she wanted to take advantage of Veldora's inexperience to end this bout quickly. And then, the pieces will move across the game board. The game had stretched on for years, but now it was almost over. Victory for Valgrind and Emperor Ludora seemed imminent. First, they had to capture Veldora. Once they had his cooperation, that would be their chance to win it all. They wanted to finish this marathon in one fell swoop, and then Ludora would be free. So Valgrind took her time, slowly opening up an offense against Veldora. The fight was beyond intense from the very first move. Valgrind acted first, unleashing a scorching, burning breath, without even considering the possibility of a counterattack. The searing light extending from the dragon's mouth took the form of a thin, compressed, superheated beam. Its fury came towards Veldora at nightmarish speed, dozens of times faster than the speed of sound. Veldora evaded it. His cancel flame skill would make him impervious to flame damage in the first place, but he was still in a rush to dodge the heat ray. My, I didn't think you would avoid that. As stupid as I know you are, I thought that would end the battle right there, like it would have before. I see you finally learned the true nature of your gifts. Your breath has accelerated destruction applied to it, doesn't it? If that struck me, my magical force would have gone berserk. I'd waste power trying to wrangle it again, so it's only natural that I'd avoid it. Veldora smiled as he replied, and he was right. Valgrind's attack had a special effect, accelerated destruction. That was all but the ultimate in force. It had the power to accelerate all events and phenomena, thus boosting their destructive effect. What's more, it could also accelerate the target's living functions. Even a spiritual life form couldn't resist this power. They might avoid simply by being destroyed by it, but they'd still suffer from the resulting out-of-control energy. Veldora, sensing this intuitively, chose to avoid it. He had analyzed and assessed to thank for that, part of his ultimate skill Faust, Lord of Investigation, and that was why he was so confident as he explained matters to his sister. You've seen through it then. You truly have grown up. I'm glad. Veldora's response made Valgrind feel more and more threatened. The dragon in front of her wasn't just a rampaging fool of a brother, but someone who deserved careful assessment. He had accurately figured out her skills, and that meant he had an ultimate skill of his own. A typical attack from a true dragon packed with the power of an ultimate in itself, but when combined with such a skill, the danger jumped astronomically higher. But it truly gladdened Valgrind. She rejoiced at the growth of her formerly inadequate younger brother, but at the same time she was alarmed. Veldora had grown to the point where he threatened her, and that could make Ludora's plan fall apart entirely. If this went unaddressed, they'd not only lose control of him, they might even be defeated themselves. This level of growth was not at all what she anticipated, but as Valgrind grew more alarmed, Veldora took the initiative. Pondering over something mid-battle, my sister? I'd call that letting your guard down. He unleashed the skill Thunderstorm Roar, a finisher move of his that multiplied the force of his storm magic. It landed a direct hit on Velgrin, but she brushed it off without taking damage. I see. You really have achieved an ultimate skill, haven't you? You have my sincere congratulations, Veldora. You're as formidable as ever, my sister. You caught that attack on purpose so you could analyze it. Well, what do you want? I needed to measure how threatening your powers are. Has my ultimate skill passed your test, then? It's analytical in nature, isn't it? It doesn't seem to add power to your attacks, but it does wonders for your accuracy. Faust played a major role in you gaining control over your magic, didn't it? That's right. I already outclass you in magical force. I don't even need more power than that. As long as I can hit you with it, that's all that matters. Belgrin smiled at the reply. You're wiser than I thought. Yes, you certainly have something I don't. That's why I want to add you to our ranks. You'd be a decisive card in our hand. Having my sister praise me makes my spine tingle a bit. Despite the light-hearted remark, Veldora had noticed the change in Belgrin's mood. Well, I'll have to reward you for that performance. Let's show you how I really fight. No thanks. Allow me to tap into the full.
No.
No thanks.
I hope that was the right. I hope that was the right tone of voice.
That was so the right tone. No thanks.
The right tone.
No.
Allow me to tap to the full potential of my ultimate skill, Raguel,
Check,
Lord
please.
of Relief. Yeah. Prepare yourself. Veldora's fervent request did not reach Velgrin's ears. It'd be unthinkable to taste defeat because you didn't make full use of your skills. Even after that fierce exchange, neither side has sustained much damage. That was why Velgrin decided to break out everything she had against Veldora, while being sure, of course, she didn't kill him. A vast assortment of magic circles appeared around her, the work of several partially summoned replications. Take this! 11 rays of light, each one the work of the skilled nuclear cannon, shot towards Veldora. After a moment's consideration, he decided to neutralize them all with magic barrier. There were too many rays to dodge, and thanks to dismissing them as mere magic attacks, he had lost precious time. He sensed the danger these cannon shots posed for him, and so he put up the barrier. Ew! Veldora felt a searing pain. He had failed to neutralize the attack. Oh, you really are smarter now, aren't you? I'm a little impressed that you only took that much damage. I didn't realize you were putting your ultimate skill into your magic as well. If I took a full hit, I wouldn't be alive. I was intending to end it just now. You should be proud of yourself. I appreciate that, but I'll say being proud about this after I defeat you. In return, Veldora launched the storm magic Ruinous Tempest. It, along with the ultimate skill added to its effects, a trick he borrowed from Velgrin, successfully sent Velgrin flying. What do you think, my sister? Have you learned your lesson from that? We can call it quits now. Don't give me that. I think you just made me angry. What? No, Velgrin snapped. Playtime was over for her. The moment she realized his attack damaged her, she threw all calmness out the window. Her pride as his sister was now at stake, and she intended to win it back with her next attack. 10 heads appeared around her, and 11 fiery flumes of breath shot towards Veldora. At the same time, she teleported herself, taking position above Veldora. Her foe, avoiding the multi-pronged attack, found himself vulnerable as he looked up at her, sizing her up. He was impressed by how she moved, but sensing that Velgrin was now fighting him with all earnestness, he internally rejoiced a bit. I was no match for you before, but behold how I fight now. I suppose I have Rimuru's training to thank for that. But what a glorious day! He didn't mind taking a moment to wallow in the joy.
What
All
a
I can
glorious
think- all I
day
can-
to die.
No. All I can think about is
What a lovely day!
What a day!
What a
What a lovely day!
That was the second
It is
thing I was
though.
thinking too.
Yeah. now it's just that moment, but with like Veldora's face plastered over. It's what a day! What a lovely day!
He's in a car, yeah.
Yeah. And then there's
Somebody
the other one where
please
it's
make that and just send that to us.
Yeah.
And then there's the
As a
other one
gif
where
or
he's looking up and
something?
seeing
As a
all that
gif.
attack comes out.
GIF,
Like, it was at
whatever
this
you wanna
moment he
fucking
knew.
call it.
Yeah.
He fucked up. Yeah. All right. Anyway.
Gets it.
Anyway. He didn't mind taking a moment to wallow in the joy, but he also knew he was still in danger. He pondered how to escape.
I'm in
Velgrin, on the
danger.
other hand, he is though.
Yeah.
On the other hand, was glad to catch Veldora within what she saw was deadly range. She was sure he'd find no escape from her now. Let's end this, Veldora. You never could escape my full glory. With this declaration, Velgrin rained down scorching hot breath from above, the work of the skilled burning breath. It poured down incessantly, becoming a pillar of flame connecting heaven and earth. From the outside, it would have looked like a cage of flame. Kinda, yeah, just bad breath. Yeah. Veldora danced around in a frenzy, growing increasingly intense. He wasn't playing around either. He was anticipating and avoiding all the attacks. The attacks were coming fast and furious, but Veldora didn't feel it was impossible to keep up with. Trusting his instincts, he propelled his enormous frame through the air, and thanks to that, despite being surrounded by this cage of flame, he survived without a single direct hit. It'll never work if you can't hit me with it! Veldora shouted gleefully, borrowing a line from a manga he treated as holy scripture. Valkyrin.
Aha! So he did choose the power of God in anime on his side.
It was there all along.
It was there.
Yep.
I wonder if they knew how they flew in Rimuru.
Hold on.
Well, they mentioned Fast and Furious, so.
Yep.
Hold on.
Fast and Furious!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Valgrind, meanwhile, clicked her tongue in disgust. Failing to land a single hit on him wasn't something she anticipated happening. There was no doubt that she underestimated him. However, this is where my attack truly begins. Her absolute disadvantage remained intact, so she decided to reveal one of her hidden talents. I'm truly impressed that you've seen through my attacks so much.
Mouth present!
Yes.
I'm a fire in my laser.
Yeah. Yeah. That's basically what she's doing.
Oh, man.
As a reward, I will give you a scorching response. Burning embrace. Taking position above Veldora proved significant. Below him was molten land, boiling with scorching lava from the fiery breath that Veldora evaded. Even the scattered droplets shooting up from below housed a terrifying amount of heat. What would further heat add to the scorching hell? Whoa! What are you? Veldora realized her intention too late for it to matter. He had been caught in Valgrind's trick from the beginning. Her excessive heat attack made the ground literally boil and evaporate. Lava vaporized under ultra-high temperatures enveloped the area around Veldora. This was bloody lava, small drops of force gifted with the full brunt of Valgrind's authority, and it was pouring upward from down below. And with that, the cage of flame holding Veldora captive was complete.
All right. That's where we're going to let Moon take over.
Yes.
Get that.
Yeah.
The essence of Velgrind's ultimate skill, Ragwell, was relief. In other words, support. Its true purpose was to expand the effect of its target, and for someone like Velgrind, who valued the power of fast acceleration in her moves, it had vast synergistic effects. But what would happen if Velgrind applied such a power to the cage of flame right now? It would greatly increase the momentum of the target, amplifying the heat to the extreme. The bloody lava would go from 2,000 degrees to several tens of thousands, vaporizing in the process. Thus, the scorching prison was created. But its true essence lay beyond that. Velgrind's support effect could be increased to any extent she wanted, without any upper limit. In other words, providing an appropriate level of support would have a beneficial effect, but overdoing it just caused unnecessary burden. The negative effects of such excessive support boosts serve to accelerate the exhaustion of the subject's physical strength. It was possible to increase the effect to the point that the heat generated by the target made them burn to ashes. In other words, the ultimate skill Ragwell gave her the power to manipulate all the energy of the world at will. The Red Rain created a gentle film that embraced Veldora in its grasp. Anyone who finds themselves trapped in a burning embrace immediately signs their fate over to Velgrind, and that applied equally as much to a true dragon. Once
so it's
captured
just
in
like
the
a
cage,
warm
there was
hug.
no escape. Sounds like it.
All she
That's the
wants
true
is a
power.
hug.
Warm hug that vaporizes you.
Well, I mean,
And
that's
it
all
was
we
like,
really
no,
want.
don't do it.
Eh.
I mean, crush me
Velgrind
with
convinced-
your warm thighs, mommy. You know?
I'm scared. Oh,
No, wait,
great
not that
job,
kind of blood.
Richie.
Ah!
Great job, Richie. You scared Tristan. Are you happy?
Yes.
Well, I mean, if you're being honest about it.
I mean, all you wanted was my happiness, right? Remember,
So
kids.
Velgrind, convinced of her victory,
No. Remember, kids, you can't say
Was about-
happiness without penis.
very true.
Yeah, right, sorry.
So Velgrind, convinced of her victory, was about to make her final declaration to Veldora, but then she stopped. What's going on? She began to panic, an unusual thing for her. Sensing a presence behind her, she hurriedly turned around. Quahahaha! I said it earlier, didn't I? If it doesn't hit me, it doesn't matter. It was Veldora in human form, gloating over his victory. The high-pitched ring of his laugh battered Velgrin's eardrums. Only then did she truly sincerely recognize Veldora as a lethal threat. Veldora might have been agitating her opponent as much as possible with his laughter, but that didn't mean he could just sit there. Having his outfit burned made him angry, although now that he looked back on it calmly, he realized that there was a big difference in strength between him and his sister. He reasoned that he had little chance of winning a proper bout, and so, after a certain point, he focused entirely on defense. This was the exact battle strategy Hinata preferred. She'd attack whenever she saw an opening in her opponent, making sure not to take a lethal hit as she waited. Then she'd determine the most effective move to make, and when she was ready, she finished the fight. He really do be learning.
Yeah, he do. Well, I mean, when Hinata comes and just kicks everyone's ass.
Fair?
There.
When he fought Hinata previously, he noticed that she seemed to know all of his habits in battle. When they fought down at floor 100, he could easily overpower her via brute strength. But after her journey through time, she beat him to a pulp in the form of the hero Corona. Well, no wonder. It was the first time she had ever fought me. But she knew all my moves and habits. I always thought that was strange. Veldora saw it as cheating, yet he knew saying that would just make him look like a sore loser. The memory of Hinata's smug grin annoyed him greatly, but a loss was a loss. The experience did teach him a lesson, though, as well as give him some insight into how to fight a superior opponent.
Yep.
Not only that, but as he trained against the demons, he learned how to add cunning to his strategy. Even if he couldn't win on his own merit, if his opponent got exhausted before he did, he could win anyway. That was how spiritual life forms battled, and now Veldora had mastered it as well. It granted him perspective that had not existed before. He observed Rimaru's lifestyle, and as he did, he became interested in many things. He'd always had a natural curiosity, and now that he had broadened his horizons, Veldora was thinking in ways that he never had before. The resulting positive effects on him might have been what helped him grow as a person, and now the results were being demonstrated in battle against Velgrind. He knew how not to lose now, and he was acting on it. In the midst of that, Velgrind unleashed her burning embrace. The ensuing cage of flame was meant to kill the moment it was complete, and once Velgrind captured him, her victory was assured. Veldora was so desperate to avoid her burning breath that he couldn't see that it was a trap. But then, predict danger, part of his ultimate skill Faust, did its job. He kept it constantly activated so nothing would ever catch him off guard, and just now it saved Veldora's life. It had given him a winning move, a warning more ominous than anything he saw before, so he knew something bad was going down. It dawned on him that continually running away from attack would spell his doom, which chilled him to the core. But even if he tried to address this threat, there was no way to if he didn't even grasp what it was. Then came the bloody lava shooting up from below. Only then did Veldora realize Velgrind's aim, but now things were getting harder to deal with. It was obviously nothing he could use Ruinous Tempest to blow away. The whole area was under the effect of Velgrind's dominate space, so he couldn't use spatial transport to escape this. Oh crap, he thought. But just then, Investigate Truth, another aspect of Faust, came up with the optimal solution. As long as Velgrind's will resided in the bloody lava, any contact with it was dangerous. It wouldn't be easy to evade this volcanic mist, but even if it was impossible, in giant dragon form, a human body could perhaps manage it. It meant giving up nearly all defense, but it was at least conceivable that he could weave his way through this barrage that way. But even so, it was still essentially a coin flip. If he timed it right, he'd be just fine. But fail once, and it'd be all over. Veldora wasn't too sure about this, but just then he realized that he was assured success after all. All it took was activating control probability, yet another Faust skill. Surprisingly, this skill made it possible to manipulate events in one's favor against opponents of the same rank or lower. It was a shock to Veldora because in essence, this doubled the odds he'd succeed at this, and since this escape had a 50-50 chance of working, that just got doubled to 100%. it was in the bag. He was still skeptical about it. It seemed just a little too convenient. But despite his trepidation, he returned to his human form and attempted to escape the cage. Then, in another moment, Veldora was out of danger. Am I still going?
Nope. All right, Sonic, bring us home.
Do it.
Woo!
You got 4 pages. Let's do this, buddy.
You got this.
Old man glasses
Do it
on,
up.
really
Yeah, put your old man glasses on. Let's do this.
Oh, grin, stare at the grinning. Okay, no.
Okay, if you're gonna do it like that, we're gonna go with somebody else.
No.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Yeah, we're gonna just.
Keyword here is momentum.
Mm-hmm.
At the grinning Veldora, feeling her composure drain. Yes.
Sorry, you skipped like 2 words at the very beginning.
Veldora stared at the grinning.
I read them.
Velgrin.
Anyway. Okay.
Yeah.
Velgrin stared at the grinning Veldora, feeling her composure drain. How had Veldora, whom she always saw as her younger, weaker, troublesome brother, grown so much over the years? She considered him a brute, a bull in a china shop, but she was wrong. He had mastered an ultimate ability to the point of evil even rivaling hers. And amazingly, he had just escaped from a situation that was absolutely irreversible.
Nice.
She assumed she'd be teaching him a lesson or two today. But now she realized in her hubris that her hubris had blinded her. She hated to admit it, but Veldora had achieved the same height she had. Now she reorganized him as an equal, adversary.
Recognized him.
Oh, yeah, because it kind of...
Not reorganized, recognized.
Yeah, I figured, like, oh boy, was that word?
I mean, she is reorganizing her thoughts.
I have to change the page, and it, like, cuts off, so it's like, okay.
Gotcha.
Now she recognized him as an equal adversary, or maybe even better. Calm analysis of the situation would reveal that Velgrin was at a disadvantage. She had just broken out one of her greatest secret moves, and it had been defeated. All of her smaller moves could be evaded, and it'd be difficult to inflict any sort of fatal wound. The only way forward was to wear Veldora down and rely on Ludora to invoke Regalia Dominion on him. So she adopted a more cautious strategy. Could it be that you recognized me as your equal now, my sister? Veldora, perhaps noticing Velgrin's intentions, sassed her as he returned to his dragon form. Velgrin found it kind of amusing, despite how aghast that all this was making her. Aghast? Is that right?
No, you said it correctly.
Okay. Come to think of it, I've never really hung out with him. It brought an unconscious smile to her face. Yes, you're right, I have. You've all grown up now, Veldora. Oh, you're all grown up now, Veldora. So if you decide by your own free will that you want to defy me, I will no longer tolerate it. Velgrim seemed to declare it more to herself than to Veldora. Sensing his sister's mood, he also felt a powerful sense of danger. But there was no backing down now. Then I, too, will do my utmost to fight you. Veldora never used his ultimate skill much before. Now he was just getting used to it. He was having a tough battle against his sister, but with this power, he felt he had a fighting chance. So he decided it was his turn to act. He couldn't tap parallel existence the way Velgrin could, but Veldora had a surefire killer move in his own ready. The name of the skill, which he had only told Rimuru about, was Storm Blast. He developed it with the support of Rimuru, who gave him lots of praise for mastering it. It even impressed Rimuru. How could it not work on my sister? Veldora liked his chances. As far as he knew, there was no one as cunning and tricky in the world as Rimuru. He was always glad to be friends and not foes with him. His praise was a ringing endorsement, so he unleashed the Storm Blast without hesitation. A thunderstorm roar emerged from Veldora's mouth. Its fury tore through the air, sending invisible rays of light in all directions. Velgrin only paid attention to attacks that posed serious danger to her. She immediately assumed that these crisscrossing rays wouldn't affect her at all. But that was precisely the trap. When multiple types of these seemingly meaningless waves intersect, they generate untold destructive power. Much like sonic weapons.
Hey!
Hey! Something to go home, guys. Good night, everybody!
Good night.
That's the show. Good night.
Yep. We'll come back
They
in
don't
2
pose
weeks for a
everybody.
2-minute stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't pose much of a threat on their own. Oh, they don't pose a threat on their own. But by the time the target takes notice, it is too late. Velgrin was no exception to this, totally missing the Storm Blast. It was only through the painful damage that cut through her entire body that she realized how badly she fell for Veltora's tricks. I'm in pain? What did you do, Veldora? It's a special technique I've developed. I call it Storm Blast, and I'm quite proud of it. Veldora had the smuggest expression in the world. His plan succeeded with flying colors, and he couldn't be more overjoyed. This wasn't a fatal blow. He knew, but he had never enjoyed such an advantage over his sister, hence why Veldora felt he deserved to brag a little. But you really are an idiot, aren't you? You still have much room for improvement. Now Veldora was in agony from intense pain like nothing he'd experienced, and Velgrim was the one gloating. The moment Velgrim recognized Veldora as an equal, she abandoned the entire battle. There was no meaning in the outcome of this, she thought. And so she focused on completing her mission. That was why she had...
Surreptitiously.
Getting a sip, but thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That was why she had surreptitiously
Close enough.
brought the Emperor's flagship closer to Veldora in a way that he wouldn't have noticed. Lieutenant Kondo was on board, and he was fully prepared. As telepathically instructed. Telepathically. Why didn't I think of that? Instructed by Velgrin, Kondo unleashed his most powerful technique against Veldora. Sideways. He went for the kill shot. It was a blow that would destroy even gods.
Even gods.
Even gods. A judgment bullet. A type Kondo could fire only once per day. Birthed by his ultimate skill, Sandalphon, Lord of Judgment. It was a pinnacle of ammunition, propelled to even loftier heights by Kondo's god-class Nambu semi-automatic handgun. Nothing could outclass it. Not even his own Necrotis bullets.
Necrosis
Bullets. I'm trying to get there. I'm getting there. And as far as Kondo knew, no one could survive being shot by it. It could even decimate Velgrin's replications, damaging her gravely in the process. Everything had gone exactly as Velgrin had calculated. The bullet was fired close to the speed of light, penetrating every type of defensive barrier as it reaches its target. Veldora, caught off guard, couldn't address it in time. So it pierced him. And thanks to that, his very existence was now threatened. At first, he was confused. My sister turned to someone for help? He had been elated, riding high and about to beat his sister. But instead, he fell for her trick. Most of all, however, Veldora was surprised by his prideful sister had simply abandoned the competition with him. He knew she gave priority to her own conditions of victory, yet nonetheless, it felt very unlike her to do so.
Ooh, that's key. That's key right there.
Yep.
Something's not right here. That seemed important, but he had more pressing things to worry about at the moment. Oh no, that man! He must be the one Rimuru told me to watch out for, but he immobilized me with a single blow? Alarms were ringing in Veldora's brain with full force. As a spiritual life form, it was highly abnormal for him to feel pain and suffering. The all-powerful dragon... The all-powerful true dragon was on the verge of a life-threatening crisis. An unbelievable fact that even made Veldora fall into panic. If it had been a full frontal attack, he might have weathered it, even if it was impossible to invade. But now that he had been completely taken by surprise, there's nothing he could do. Oh, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble, aren't I? Best to admit defeat this time and get back at her next time. Let's just contact Rimuru and... Despite all of this, Veldora was relaxed. He knew that he and Rimuru were connected through a soul corridor, which would allow him to be revived at any time. As long as Rimuru remained alive, Veldora was immortal. There was no need for alarm. But things quickly began to take a turn for the worse. Regalia Dominion.
Regalia,
damn it! Regalia Dominion.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and give you a heads up. The person that's saying this is Ludora.
Oh, okay.
Say it again.
Oh.
Say it again.
Should I? Oh God, I wonder if I should do the no.
The Emperor Ludora is just Regalia Dominion.
I was thinking like Regalia,
No.
Fucking hell, dude.
No,
You can't.
Regalia Dominion.
No.
No.
Okay.
All right, you know what? Fuck it. Moon, you say it.
No.
His speaking privileges as the Emperor have been revoked.
No.
Regalia Dominion.
No, stop.
Oh my god.
I don't care.
Been revoked.
Bitch.
Regalia Dominion.
Cool. Now you continue.
Veldora was so focused on Kondo that he failed to notice the other man on the airship's deck, dressed in luxurious robes.
Luxurious.
Masayuki? No. Huh? Wait a minute. What is this? This isn't good at all. By the time he realized it, it was too late. Veldora's spirit was about to be taken over by this man, Emperor Ludora. Pounded by the judgment bullet, Veldora was in dire straits, but even now, there was something that he refused to abide by. I hope this is only me, but if this is allowed to pass, even my ally Rimuru could be harmed. I can't allow that to happen, no matter what! Ludora's control over him was stronger than he had imagined. If he got stuck here, he unable to do anything. It could even affect Rimuru through their soul corridor. That, Veldora thought, could never be allowed to happen. So he cut the soul corridor by his own will. Good. It's up to you now, Rimuru. With those words, Veldora's consciousness fell into darkness.
That was badass on Veldora's part, and that's the one thing.
Like, no.
That is the one thing that I'm glad I read from this chapter is that Veldora cut the link so that Rimuru wouldn't be affected. Next time, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks for
really
Rimuru's
tickling
side.
them.
We will pick up in 2 weeks for Rimuru. Next week, we will be playing some video games. But until then, what did you guys think? Do you hate this shit?
It hurts, but I mean, it was just like
recapping things from
it did hurt,
So
but I was
much
just kind of like,
going on. It
yeah,
hurts. It's
that was a long
I'm
trudge.
gonna need to get Carson to come in here. I'm gonna need to get Carson to come in here to hype us up for next week where we go live for Reaper Rage in a cage.
Like at the very end.
And there
that's how
comes
we
Soleil
end
with the
next
steel
week's stream,
chair.
and then we say,
You know,
see you then,
if
everybody.
if nothing else, I'll get him to record something for that because he'll do it. He has fun with that shit, dude.
Do it.
I'll get
yeah,
him to Traps play.
We can do that before this because it's gonna be
no.
there's gonna be some serious shit.
There is.
There's
Bro,
Well,
hold
you know
on.
it's bad when fucking
Hold on.
Raphael apologizes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the 29th, that is this week. That's next Monday, 29th. And then we'll be back on the 5th for more of that. Also, if we get enough
Next week's
people,
the filler episode.
if we get enough people auditioning for solo leveling, we will be up on the 4th for that. So guys, keep an ear
Oh yeah,
and an eye on the channel for that. We're looking for people, Fat Dog only, Fat Dog and bitches we like only to audition for our solo leveling content. That's what it's not a public audition. No, we're not.
Yeah, I
doing
was
public
working on one
auditions
of
for
mine
that.
earlier today. I don't think I wanted to do another take with it.
I have to
for it,
let my
go for
voice
it.
rest for a bit, but I'll try.
I wanted to do
No, go
like
for
a
it.
shy timid.
I know we had you read a lot. I'm so sorry, dude. But I realized,
That's okay.
I'll
I'll
through this,
rest
I
it.
was like, guys, you're gonna hate it if we have to do this chapter back to back.
Yeah, it would be really hard. It's okay. It
Especially
was
if we're
worth the
going
extra
on
time.
break next week, and then we come back and we're like, fuck this chapter. So it's like, guys,
I just
we're gonna
realized-
get to the fun bits. We're gonna get to the
Yeah.
fun bits, and
Yeah.
We gotta get to the fun stuff.
here's the fun part. All right, we start with 102. Now, chapter 2, admittedly, is way shorter than the previous chapter. But all right,
This
so
felt like two chapters in a way.
Chapter 2, yeah, it felt like that. 102 to 167, so we'll probably finish chapter 2 in a week too. But then chapter 3, which is The Battlefield Rages, is pretty long.
That's gonna be
So
interesting.
we go from 171 to 235. And then chapter 4 is the 8 impervious gates. Oh, that's so good. We get 8 individual battles, which are gonna be. These are like the 8
individual chapters.
No, not 8 individual chapters. 8 individual battles. 8 elite battles. The elite of Rimuru's forces, the elite of the Empire's forces.
Oh, that would be a good one for him to come in and be like, and now for this battle.
I could probably get it too. All right.
Yes.
Chapter 5, The Truth Behind the Emperor.
The Emperor.
And then the epilogue, Sister and Brother. There's a lot of shit that is going down on in this book. And there's even more crazy revelations dropping in the next volume. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on.
I don't know why. I just had the thought, real quick. I just had the thought of like, Palpy is like the emperor that came before Ludora, and he's kind of like, he's still there, and Ludora's like the serious one. Through like, yes, grandfather, I am taking care of the empire. Oh, good. It's good to see you doing all this great work. I remember what I was doing. He's like, yeah, sure, grandpa.
God damn it.
Just letting him do just let him do his thing.
All right,
I'm
guys.
sorry. I couldn't.
He's here.
All right, what did
sorry,
you think?
I'm
What did y'all
embarrassed.
think of this chapter? I had
good.
not experienced
Painful,
this
but good.
chapter. I had not experienced this chapter because I was so mad. I was like, hurry the fuck up and let me get to Rimuru. So I just skipped it. I was like, I'm going right to Rimuru. Right to Rimuru.
This, I guess in a way, you
Skipped a
can
good
just
fight
call
then,
this.
apparently.
No,
You
no,
can
I
just
didn't.
call this the chapter.
No, I absolutely didn't. None of this.
Nada.
None of this was the good fights. I'm going to tell you right now.
I said a good fight.
Nope.
Yeah, one singular
Nope.
good fight.
Nope.
I will not accept your answers on that because I think showing that Veldora has learned some shit is a good fucking fight, okay?
And I'm going to tell you right now because I've read all the other fights that take place in this book. Nope.
I would still say this is a good fight, okay? In the most basest of terms, a good fight. I don't care how much better the other fights are, this is still a good one.
Yeah, because we don't know the other fights, so
It was
I gotta
an
give him that.
That's
okay
true.
fight.
It's not even that.
It was an okay fight. I'll say this. It was a good fight for Veldora.
Yeah,
Yes.
because we haven't really seen Veldora do
That's-
much up
technically-
to this point.
That's about all. It's a good fight
Yeah.
for Veldora.
I just like seeing him grow.
You haven't
I like
seen
all
the-
his progress.
You
That makes me
haven't
happy.
seen the good fights yet because here's the crazy shit.
We're not here yet.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Seal hasn't been awakened yet.
I just want to see
What?
the
Seal
moment where
is awakened?
He
Veldonata...
hasn't been kissed by a
fucking-
rose on the grave yet.
Here, shut the fuck up. First off,
There it is.
here's the thing. Once Seal gets awakened, all these different characters that like have had this level up that can't control these new abilities and all this excess power that they have.
all those
She
hormones.
fixes all that shit in a second. Like, all that shit just instantly gets fixed. Oh, you've got all this stuff? Oh, you're having trouble winning against this superior opponent? Here's the thing that just lets that happen. Let me just autocorrect and show you how that...
God,
You
why
have
does
so
therapy
much
work that
power
way?
and you can't control it. Let me show you. Like, it's
show you
it's so fucking insane. It's so good. And basically, she doesn't come in and just go, and you're good, and you're good. She just basically goes, you have all this potential and you don't know how to use it. Let me just show you your untapped potential so that you know how to use. She basically just shows them all of their potential. How to use all their potential.
Soda. Let me show you.
She
the
just
wonders.
like Super
Yes.
Kami gurus them in a way.
Yeah, kind of just shows them, just doesn't unlock their potential. They already have their potential kind of unlocked. They just give them the information about
She
their
wakes it
potential.
up.
They know how to
Basically,
use
they
all
all
their potential.
have a fucking sports car, and she's like, "Here's the keys."
It's kind of
Enjoy.
it's kind of
Put
like
a new engine in it, maybe.
it's kind of like she just instantly grants them like decades of experience in a matter of seconds. Kind of
you
like
don't
that.
want to wait for all this, right? I don't want to wait for
Going to
this.
take
You don't want
years
to wait
of
for it.
training to
Here you
learn
go.
how to control this. Oh, hold
It's
on.
insane. It's
you go.
insane. I can't go any more into that. You're going to love what happens with Rimuru. You're going to love what happens with Rimuru's forces. And it
I want to
happens
see.
it happens with all of them. And I mean all of them. I'm not just talking about Gabiru. I'm talking about Benimaru. I'm talking about the demons. I'm talking about Diablo, Testarossa, Carrera, Ultima. Like,
Vesta in his chair at home becomes 10 times more buff.
no. You thought he
Why?
was crazy before. You thought he was crazy before. Moth.
He's just gonna be
Moss. He's gonna be super.
Moss.
He just walks around. He just walks around.
It's Mega Moss.
Megamoth.
That's,
No,
that's
dude,
Megamoth.
it's so
Megamoth.
good. It's so good, dude. Yes, Soe gets a
Baseball
buff.
one has
I
transformed into.
wanted. I don't know why, but for whatever reason,
Mega
I
Man.
He just pulls his
Mega
pants off.
Man.
Oh, cool.
All
I
right,
wanted there to be a thing where Goku got on equal footing at her.
Everybody,
as Testarossa,
chill.
and then she's like, "Oh wow, you're oh wow,
all right.
you're
So,
actually really strong
so
now."
aside from you thinking Veldora's fight was good, what did everybody else think about the chapter?
I mean, this felt like the chapter of Veldonava, effectively. Everything we
Veldanava.
did, just Veldonava's just almost everywhere here, pretty much. This is literally her
Velgrin?
chapter. Velgrin, shut up.
I was fixing to say Veldanava. No, I mean no. Yes, but no. I mean yes, but no.
The sister. Veldora's. This is the
I
chapter
mean,
of
since
Veldora's
Veldanava created everything, yes, but
That
also
too, yeah, I'm not.
no.
I'm not. But if you are gonna argue the semantics, I'm not technically
I'm
wrong.
also going to tell you no because Rimuru was nowhere in this chapter.
I didn't say Rimuru.
I did though.
I never said Rimuru, did I?
I know. That's why I said, but no. Because we all know that if Veldanava is God, then Rimuru is clearly the second coming of Veldanava.
No, he's not there. He's not at that point yet, as you've established.
If Veldanava
Talking
is
about
God, then
prior.
Rimuru is Jesus. Oh God, they're gonna
Again, I never
oh,
mentioned.
God.
I never said.
Oh God, they're
Rimuru.
gonna learn how to build crosses.
Is that how Rimuru dies?
No,
Is he
he's
just like,
already
I'm bored,
died. He's already died, and he beat Jesus' respawn time.
Yeah.
That we are aware of. Because who knows how long it took him to be brought back in actuality.
Just remember, guys,
Well, now.
Spartans don't die. We simply go to hell to regroup.
Oh, is that what happened with Kratos?
Yeah,
He
not-
regrouped himself.
I was
with that
talking about
captain.
I was talking
Not that
about
kind of
Master
Spartan.
Chief, but yeah, sure.
Halo Spartans.
Halo Spartans, yeah.
Yeah.
Spartan
Oh,
2s,
yeah, fair,
Spartan 2s.
Ah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We're not talking about those weak
I was
ass
thinking
Spartan 4s.
the mythological
Shizu was
versions.
Jesus?
You went up higher.
No, Shizu was like a disciple, nothing more.
She's a priestess of Jesus.
A priestess.
She's a disciple.
She's you know what? She was was it
She
Mary
mans the
Magdalene?
temple.
Mary Magdalene. Yeah. She was the whore. Yeah. She died for his toes. She
Wait,
died
what does
for
that
his
make
toes.
Shion then?
Just a whore. Just a whore. Yeah.
Oh,
Just a whore.
no, you don't get any special. You don't become like Mary and whatever. No, you're just
Just whore. Just whore. Whore A. Yeah.
you're one of the
yeah,
the
she's
sick
horny.
people that he
She's
that he helped.
horny. Yeah.
She's
Lots
one
of
of the
things.
people that
Body muscle.
Rimuru like cured of like the plague or whatever.
That's right. That's right. She's his body, but mostly the boobs. She is the boobs of Rimuru. She is known as the tits
The
of
body
Rimuru.
of Christ. Wait,
The
where's
tits, the tits of Christ, everyone. You didn't even know that Christ
Okay,
had
so
titties.
if Shion's the body, then who is the blood?
Also Shion.
No, gotta be someone
No.
else.
The milk of Rimuru.
The milk of. All right, fine.
Oh,
Who is
God.
the milk?
I don't think it's
Go
that
on,
far
then.
yet.
Also,
Go,
the
who is the
MILF of
liquid?
Rimuru.
Interesting.
The MILF of Tempest. All right, anyway. moving
Interesting
on.
titles we have here.
Just-
Wouldn't that be
All right, so anyway, what did we think of the chapter again?
Good. Painful, but good.
Painful but
Good.
good. All right,
Veldora's
good.
sister in a nutshell. This is all about her.
Yeah, Velzard. Yep.
That's,
Or Velgrid.
I know.
Yeah, where's
Velgrid.
she in all this?
I don't. Yeah, I like.
Probably
I know
hanging
that's
out
not
with
what
else
you're
doing.
Probably
doing.
hanging out with Gee.
I guess, but I wonder what he's
Probably.
thinking about all this right now. But I guess we'll get to that later. There's no way all this is happening, and he's just kind
He's
of
probably
like
just watching it
playing
and just be like,
Xbox.
man, that is a shit show. Glad I'm not part of it.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
wow.
He's probably gonna be a part of it.
Veltor-
He's
somehow.
probably he's probably over there watching this like, where the fuck is Rimuru?
Yeah, probably.
where'd he go?
And then the giant, the whatever thing he's being held in breaks, and
It's
he's
a
like,
Necron
oh,
prison."
someone done fucked up.
Like,
Yeah.
It's like
He mad.
he's just looking at the.
He's like
I think his rage broke, Vegeta.
to Veldora's other sister. Oh wow, I think I saw his rage broke.
No, you should not. You should go to hell for even thinking that. That's what you should do.
Oh, you could grind meat on that thing.
Hey, anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming by.
Put a
We will
hail-
see you
put a
next
hail-
week for
Yeah,
some
it's been a
rafting
while.
fun. We will have
Yep.
a lovely time just hanging out and playing some video games. And
I just-
More boys on a boat.
I just
four
realized.
four guys on a raft. Guys, don't forget to update your PNG icons that you
Oh, yeah.
want used for that, because we're not going to be on camera this time. So that's going to be beautiful.
Don's already good to go.
I just realized next week's the beach episode.
The beach episode. That's right, boys on the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, if you want to do that, we do have Soe beach pictures. From the
Oh, nice.
We could do that.
We do have Soe on a beach.
We can. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could find some.
We do have Soe on a beach. But
Yeah,
until then, you know what? Fuck it. We're going to raid. We're going to go ahead and raid. If he,
I like
if
the
he is
idea
there.
of like
Yes.
the battle was so
Director
intense
Nasty is
between
playing
Veldora
Mario
and his
Kart 8.
sister.
Yes.
Cool.
The battle was so intense between the two true dragons that it blew us completely off course, and we're stranded, and we're back here.
Oh no,
again.
it said
And,
no, it says he's offline. What the fuck? Is he
Yeah, I
online?
think he
Ended his
stopped streaming.
It said he's online, but like, what?
Refresh it, maybe?
Oh, now it said no. It says NA. Okay, no, he's not online. Never mind. Is there any other?
Dang, if only I was streaming.
Lost Pause.
Uh,
Lost Pause is
Oh, hey,
playing
Noble.
Pow World.
Okay. Cool.
Should we raid Lost Pause with a who's playing Pokemon with guns? Pokemon.
I enjoy.
Fuck yeah.
Lost Pause.
I have my reservations about it, but I'm glad people are having fun.
No, I'm
Oh,
just
there you
like,
go, yeah.
should we raid Lost Pause? That is the question.
Yeah, it has been a
I
while.
want to.
Actually, seen anything Lost Pause related.
All right.
I'm gonna get Foob in a
All
bit.
right, we're gonna
I've
go
already
ahead
got
and
food.
raid Lost
But yes.
Pause
We'll do that.
and get ready for that.
Thanks for coming, though.
Thank
one
you for
paused.
coming by,
Mhm.
and we will catch
Thanks
you
for sticking
all
around, too.
Yes.
later. Thank you for hanging out with us for this extra long stream. Not just
It's
for
10
you,
o'clock
the
on my
viewers,
time.
but to all of you here on this.
We had to get it done.
I appreciate it. All right, let's go raid Lost Pause.
It was worth the cause.
Now,
It
no
was.
one
It's fine.
pause your streams, okay?
All right,
Now next
damn
week's
it.
speech episode.
bye.
Bye.
I'm
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ivan, wear something thin.